Warning. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Professor Mark DeWolf Howell of the Harvard Law School, speaking for 29 other law professors, pointed out that the United States government could intervene by law in the state of Mississippi by sending troops. And since the Attorney General and others in the federal government have pointed out that they don't intend to send federal troops in themselves to protect the lives and the property of the Negroes who are being brutalized down there, it's our intention to try and organize the black people or the American Negroes in this country into self-defense units in that area, in areas where the government is unwilling or unable to defend our people. We will defend our people ourselves.
Just what exactly would these units do? Eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth situation?
Well, as long as it is an intelligently organized effort that is being made, the discipline involved will keep our people acting intelligently and discriminately. But if something isn't done in this country to organize Negroes who are fed up with this nonviolent, turn-the-other-cheek approach in a sensible direction to bring about the halting of this brutality that we're constantly the victims of, then Negroes are going to react in a disorganized way, in an unintelligent way, and an indiscriminate way when it comes to retaliation. So we actually think that we're doing more to uphold the law and protecting the lives and property of our people in an organized way than to sit around and let a disorganized effort develop.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org. and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, we got one today. We got one to go over today. I've been hearing a lot how Mark Lamont Shield was standing on some business, and even Piers Morgan apparently was calling out racism. Family, let's not forget, white supremacy takes both sides of the fence. They takes both sides of the argument. That was the number one thing that we have to remember when dealing with these folks. Don't nobody got our best intentions at heart. Don't nobody move like we move. Don't nobody even understand what racism is when you speak about racism or anything like that. If they're not a part of our lineage, 9 times out of the 10, they don't understand it. They don't understand it at all. But I find it telling when they try to speak on it. So we're definitely going to get into this whole panel that Piers Morgan put together. And we're definitely going to break down some of the notions that was put on the table. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get into shout outs. Shout out to the ears that hear the truth. Thank you for being here, sister. You, thank you for being here, family. Priscilla Taylor, thank you for being here. My sister, Miss Nisi, Hurricane Nisi, thank you for being here, family. Astarte Jones, thank you for being here, family. Reparations Nations, thank you for being here, family. And Torian Rain, thank you for being here, family. And happy belated birthday to you, my brother. Today is mine. So after this here, you know, I'm going to go get into some festivities like us Taurians do. You dig what I'm saying? But I wanted to make sure I got this out because throughout the week, I'm going to actually be on the road. So I'm not going to be able to do any live streams. So this live I was planning on doing on Monday. So I decided to do it today. And then all next week, you guys are going to get some pre-records. So let's get into it. Salute and shout out to our brother MD Williams. Thank you for being here, family. Let's get into this whole clip here.
The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child.
Did you call the child word? It is my business. You call him a
what you're advocating for, it seems.
I appreciate you, Astarte Jones. Thank you very much, family. Thank you, Miss Nisi. I appreciate that as well.
Is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she should be canceled and silenced rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences.
Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks and saying the N-word. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear about, oh, this made $500,000 to say the N-word. Who cares?
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say it. Say the N-word. Go on.
No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term to me. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it.
Two recent stories in the US have laid bare the shocking levels of racial division in American society, amplified by extreme and viral takes on social media. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is a black teenager charged with stabbing a white boy to death at a school track meeting in April. More than $600,000 in donations have poured in, not for the victim's grieving family, but for his alleged killer. Last week, Shiloh Hendricks went viral after a video showed the young mother racially abusing a 5-year-old, allegedly for stealing from her young child.
Call him a child? Did you call the child word? It is my own business. You call him a okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Huh? All right, that's what you say. Nobody digging into your shit. That little kid, you call him the little child? Are you about to hit him? You chasing him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old.
Well, as you can see, Hendricks doesn't deny using the slur. In fact, she repeats it many times. That's all the stuff is bleeped out. When a bystander in the park follows her with his smartphone. Hendricks set up a fundraiser on the same website as Carmelo Anthony's supporters, on which he wrote, "I called the kid out for what he was." Incredibly, that campaign has now raised more money than the first one, surpassing $655,000 at the time of taping the show. Well, the boss of the website, Give, Send, Go, is accused of facilitating brazen racism on a platform whose motto is "money is temporary, Jesus is eternal." He will join me later. Liberals say this is exactly what they've been warning about, that the post...
Money is temporary, Jesus is eternal. I want y'all to remember this whenever y'all come across these people that claim to be Christians. Because these same Christians, they're running around here promoting these same kind of people. Let's be 100% honest. I was told growing up that I should never put too much stock into Christianity when white folks talk about it, because the way that they use Christianity is a lot different from the way that we actually use Christianity, or how Christianity was meant to be used by the people who created Christianity. And the reason for that is one of the best documentaries that Tariq has put out is the Hidden Colors. I think it was Hidden Colors 4 that talked about the religion of white supremacy. That's their real religion. They may claim to be Christian, they may claim to be Jewish, they may claim to be Muslim, whatever, but their number one religion, the underlying belly of their whole religious culture, is white supremacy.
Post-BLM backlash, the crushing of DEI has provided a fig leaf for outright bigotry. Conservatives were similarly outraged by the support for Carmelo Anthony, an alleged murderer who's been glorified by some as a victim of a racist system. We're here to debate all this as the host of the Fresh and Fit podcast, Myron Gaines, the host of Night School on YouTube, Mark Lamont Hill, Lily Gaddis, a social media commentator whose video defense of the N-word mother has so far been viewed millions of times on X, and the New York Post columnist and author Ricky Schlott. Well, welcome to all of you. Ricky, look, my take on this is a stain on all their houses, right? I just don't know what is happening to society when you have such vast sums of money being raised for what seems to me to be deliberate, racially charged, motivational reasons.
Now, I want you to also notice the makeup of everybody on this damn panel, right? You got one black dude. You got Amru Foodie. I will never call that man a black man. You got Amru Foodie, two dark-skinned brothers, and then two Nabisco women who has basically, they're the polar opposite of this situation if you let them tell it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're fighting ugly with ugly right now. And I think this level of racial tribalism and hostility is just simply not sustainable in such a diverse democracy like America. I think it's, one is really a reaction to the other. I think both campaigns are really hideous. And I think we're showing our ugliest colors. I mean, in the scheme of things, these are small.
Now, notice what she just did right there, family. Notice how she says one is a reaction to the other. Well, which one is the reaction to the other? Are you saying that the lady who called the young boy the N-word is a reaction to Carmelo Anthony, or Carmelo Anthony is a reaction to the other, which is all BS all the way around. Much love and appreciation, Willie. Thank you for being here, family. It's ludicrous. She ain't call out the fact, no, this is wrong. Regardless of the situation, one is this and the other is this. One is racial, the other's people made racial. And the people who made it racial look like me. She didn't do that. She's basically saying this is ugly being basically ugly and ugly together, and one is a microcosm of the other, and that's bull crap. Even when they're trying to talk on the side of right, they're bringing nonsense and bull crap statements up.
Sums relative to the population of America, but you do see, I think, a really tremendous explosion of ugliness and racial hostility that I think that we should all be ashamed and embarrassed of.
Yeah, I mean, you described it, I think, in one of your posts as genuinely, is this a psyop? This would be the best $1 million invested by a foreign adversary to start a race war in America. And I knew exactly what you're getting at, because many of the comments, I think the comments have now been suspended actually on both of these funding pages, because people were quite obviously deliberately misusing them to post race baiting commentary.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go through some of the comments on either of them, you have White Lives Matter on one side, and like suggestions that the teenage boy who was stabbed was somehow like a manifestation of white supremacy, and it seems to be just a fight at a track meet that has nothing to do with racial hostility in the first place.
Family, when we speak about Carmelo Anthony, when we bring up the reasons why this happened, it does lead back to white supremacy. It leads back to the whole Jim Crow era. White boy or white man, white woman, whatever, goes up to a black person, fill in the blank, and tell them to do A, B, and C, or get out of there, or whatever the situation is, when they have no right to do so. Who anointed Jeff Metcalf's son to be the student officer at that event? Who gave him that power? So if no one gave him that power, he took it upon himself. And if he took it upon himself to assault somebody who was just there trying to stay dry, that does stem back to white supremacy. So the fact that she tried to make it seem as if, oh, people trying to make it seem like it's about white supremacy, it absolutely is. And the fact that everybody came rushing to start calling the person who was defending himself a murderer, a criminal, and all this other stuff, that shows you that is white supremacy. And it has everything to do with white supremacy. And then on the other side, they're giving thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, upward to $1 million, to a person who's literally going around spewing anti-black epithets. So tell me, how does it not stem back to white supremacy? Shout out to Hurricane IQ. Thank you for being here, family.
And the poor father of this young man who died too said, please don't make this into a racial issue. And yet on his own Give, Send, Go campaign, there are comments after comments saying this is White Lives Matter, we're avenging against Carmelo Anthony's family. I mean, on all ends, this is ugly. I think that it's really co-opting the charity and giving community. I mean, I feel bad.
I also find it very strange that, you know, the father said, don't make it about race, but he'll accept the race as his money. Oh, everybody, please don't make it about race. This isn't about race. But when the racists show up and start actually shelving out some dollars, he don't have a problem taking those funds. Things that make you go, MD Williams, thank you for your Cash App, family. I appreciate you, and your donation is blessed tenfold. And also thank you for your birthday wishes. I appreciate you, family.
for the fundraising platforms, because I don't think this was the intention originally. But unfortunately, I think that people are really starting to take over good intents and the charity industrial complex to make it into a victim industrial complex, and it's really sad to see.
Well, we're going to have one of the founders of the Give, Send, Go site a little later in the program. But Mark Lamont Hill, you were shaking your head there. I mean, what's your take on this?
There are a couple of things that were said that I think are really interesting and important. One, there is an outside audience of people who are watching all of this and opportunistically using it for their own agendas and projects. You know, I have an investment in believing X, so I'm going to jump in the comments of this GoFundMe, etc. I have an investment in Y.
Very good point that he just made. Very good point. You can't just go off of, well, these are both racially charged situations. No, you got to look at the people who are making this racially charged. With our brother Carmelo, the difference with us is we get tired of seeing people get railroaded by a justice system that isn't meant for us. The justice system deliberately targets Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, to be more specific. Overall, we done been over case after case after case. Hey, the broadcast I did before last, I was able to show the man who ran over our young brother and went home. He got a $41,000 bond. While Rodney, the man who had an obvious psych break after finding out or seeing the video of his son get gunned down by the police, they took away his bail. No bail. So we see time after time after time after time how the justice system targets us while letting the Nabiscos off with a slap on the wrist. Let's continue.
I'm going to do the same thing. But what I don't want to do is compare these two things as if they're opposite sides of the same coin. For me, the intention of the campaign matters. In the case of this woman who is using the N-word, the woman isn't disputing using the N-word. The woman isn't disputing being racist. And the comments that are being left on the site before they were suspended and the attitudes behind it weren't saying she's being railroaded, she's being misrepresented. They were simply saying, we support racism. And I think that's disgusting, no matter who's doing it. On the other hand, the people who are fundraising for Carmelo Anthony, the argument here isn't, yeah, we did something and we don't care, like the other woman. The argument is, we're being misrepresented here. We're being railroaded. This was a self-defense claim. This is not an act of violence. This is a first-degree murder. I'm saying what they're saying. This isn't my argument. They're saying this is a first-degree murder claim that is wrong. This is actually self-defense, and we need the money to make sure that we get a fair trial. I think, and so whether you agree with his argument or not, I think raising money for a fair trial is different than raising money for a racist.
I mean,
and he's absolutely damn right. Salute, Hurricane. I appreciate your birthday wishes, family. He's absolutely right. Let's call a spade a spade. You have one side who's giving out money just because they saw a racist and they liked that she's racist. That's that. On Carmelo's side, I ain't seen one person cheering on the fact that the kid was white and Carmelo unalived him. I didn't see not one comment that celebrates that. However, what I have seen is people saying he shouldn't have put his hands on him. He had to defend himself. This is self-defense. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have cared who got stuck. If it was a self-defense claim, it's a self-defense claim. We're not out here celebrating the fact that it's a white child that got unalived. As a matter of fact, it's to the contrary. Many of us in the new Black media who speaks on this situation have said several times over it's a tragedy that a parent lost their child. We ain't out here demonizing the kid and all this other stuff. We're saying if he put his hands on somebody, it's unfortunate, but the kid defended himself. So there isn't even a one-to-one comparison here. You can't even say it's apples to oranges. You're comparing apples to figs. That's what you're doing. Comparing apples to raisins. Because it just doesn't make any sense. And it's you guys And when I say you guys, I'm going to say the Nabiscos, who has properly put the charge behind this on both sides. I don't want to say properly. Properly, the wrong word. You properly put the charge behind this. Nobody would have known about Carmelo Anthony's case if it wasn't for the white supremacists. Let's be honest and clear about that. But this case here, you can also argue this case wouldn't be as big as it is if they just left it at the Hendricks lady being a racist. Let's be very clear on that. It became a bigger issue when this woman created her Give, Send, Go, and all of you racists piled on into that Give, Send, Go and just gave up all of your meth money. That's why we're sitting here today. So you're going to have to hold getting the Nabiscos accountable. One is not like the other. Hell, y'all remember that I forget what it was, a children's show that used to be on. One of these things are not like the other. One of these things are kind of the same. Nothing here is the same. This here is not like the other.
I mean, I think the common theme between the two, and this is not to pass any view about it at this stage, although I have strong views about it. I guess the common theme is that both of them say that as a result of all the publicity, they've been doxxed and had all their personal details put everywhere on social media, which is, of course, the modern scourge which gets involved. And as a result, they've had death threats and they have security issues and they have to move home and so on. You know, I understand that part of the argument. You know, when you're at the center.
If you're a racist and someone are sending you death threats, does that mean that you should be able to crowdfund because you're getting sent death threats for being racist? I'm confused. At what point do we force people to take accountability for their actions? At what point does it become logical for us to say, well, you know, I'm sorry you're getting death threats, but you said some pretty despicable things, and maybe you should take account for what you've been saying. Maybe you should apologize, and maybe the death threats will stop. But instead, they're like, oh, no. Here, take my meth money. Take my meth money, all of my meth money. I want the racism to continue. Interesting.
Of a firestorm in America and you're not used to public attention, then the levels of intimidation, threats, and so on that can come your way can be extremely intimidating, if not outright dangerous. So it's different really to taking a view about either of the cases to simply say that the commonality is that they both, I think, have said in defending the amounts that have been raised is, well, we have to defend ourselves. Either, as you're putting it, through the courts, but also in his case, the alleged killer, that he has also, I think, had direct threats against him. And in the case of the mother using the N-word in that despicable manner, she has said she's had a lot of threats too.
But my quick response to that would just be, let's assume everybody's telling the truth. Let's assume she's telling the truth. Let's assume he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth and he was doing self-defense and he's getting harassed and doxxed, and of course we already know lies have been told about his GoFundMe campaign saying they were spending it on mansions and cars, all the kind of racist tropes. If that's true, he's being mistreated. And I think that's a sort of very easy case to make. When it comes to her, however, let's assume she's also telling the truth, that she used the word. She thinks the kid was acting like one. She feels like she has the right to use that word against that small baby because of whatever age-appropriate thing the kid did. If she's telling the truth and she's getting doxxed and harassed, I don't know if I want to reward her behavior with $500,000. I don't think she should be doxxed. I don't think she should be harassed. I think she has been mistreated to the extent that no one should be. You have a right to be racist. You have a right to free speech in this country. But I'm not donating money for it, and I feel a lot worse about her GoFundMe than the one for the person who's been railroaded.
Yeah, well, Lily Gaddis, you posted a defense of Shiloh on X. It's been viewed 2.5 million times, in which it was entitled, "White People Are Finally Fighting Back. Stand with Shiloh."
Let me say something real quick as well about this free speech thing, because a lot of people misconceive what the hell free speech actually means when we're speaking about free speech. Free speech does not apply to the citizen everywhere and anywhere you go. Let's be very clear about it. The right to free speech, as written in the Constitution, is speaking deliberately about freedom of the press, right? So this is the reason why when you look at platforms and they go and let's say you say something pro-black on Facebook and Facebook removes it, you don't have a right to free speech there. Really, the courts have upheld that you don't have a right to free speech on these platforms. The platform has the right to decide what they deem harmful and not. That's the unfortunate truth about it. Now, when you go into spaces and government buildings and things like that, yeah, you have the right to say whatever you want to say. But guess what? For Black Americans, that right has never really stood for anything. Because if they don't like what you have to say, they will attack you by sending their race soldiers. They will get you arrested. Let's be honest. We didn't even have, when they had the whole C-19 situation popping off and the Asian people didn't want to eat at Asian restaurants, that actually set off a whole, just people saying they didn't want to eat at Asian restaurants, got a whole goddamn Asian hate crime bill put to Congress and put through Congress, and the president signed it and attached $50 million to it. Just for people saying, I don't want to eat at their restaurants. I heard that it came from Wuhan. Salute the Cult Light Personality. Thank you for being here, family. Salute Mia Kim. Thank you for being here as well, family. They went and gave them people a whole damn hate crime bill. So when we talk about the right to free speech, it's nonsense. It's only free speech when it's Nabiscos. It's only free speech when you're not a foundational Black American. See, after that, it's hate speech. Y'all see how they talk about FBA? They talk about us like we're a hate group. They talk about us like we're a cult. Just because we're standing on lineage business. That's what it is. And shout out to Astarte. No, I 100% agree with you. Free speech does not suspend you from getting punched in the throat. That was one of my favorite things that Mike Tyson has said ever, is that the keyboard have made people a lot more emboldened to say things that they wouldn't say in real life because they get punched. And that's what it is. Sometimes people just got to get punched in the face. Y'all see that video of that Nabisco who's all up in that girl's face? And the girl was recording her, and the Nabisco spit on her. And then the girl, she out of nowhere just started whooping on her with one hand. She falls to the floor, then she starts stomping on her with one foot, all while recording. Shout out to that sister. I gotta say that. And more people need to get punched in the throat. That's just what it is. That'll curve their little racism real quick. Salute to Happy Neuron. Thank you for being here, family. Also, salute to our family, Aquarius Minded. Thank you for being here, family. You saw that, Mia? Yeah, she came out of nowhere with that left hand quick. Or was it a right? No, she was holding the phone in her left hand, so she came with a right. And then pushed her to the ground. Like the first hit didn't take her down. She kept going until she hit that ground. Then she started hitting her with that foot stomp. I'm like, oh, this is a praise dance. Okay. But I guarantee you that woman will think twice the next time before she tries to spit at a woman, at a Black woman. Hell, the same thing happened. I don't even remember. I think it was at a football game or something. And the security was telling this white guy to leave or whatever the situation was. The white guy spit on him, and the security officer he took off that belt and started whooping his ass like he was 12. I'm just being 100. A lot of these folks need that ass whooping. You know why? Because a lot of these folks grew up without an ass whooping. They want to do this gentle parenting crap. And this is why a lot of them do not take accountability. A lot of them do not take accountability. Shout out to William. Thank you for being here, family. I appreciate your contribution. These alpha hotels again. Absolutely. But fam, let's get back in this. I just thought it was really important to say that a lot of these folks grow up without accountability. Their parents don't want to correct them, and that's why they become school pum-pumers. The second somebody says or does something that they don't like. Our brother Torian, he did a live earlier today speaking about the latest school pum-pumer. And in his background, it showed all this racism, how he thought Rosa Parks was wrong, and he thinks black people is ruining his neighborhood and all this other stuff. His mom is a goddamn sheriff. But if his mother would have been, whooping that ass, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have went up to that school and pum-pumed it. This is just my theory, family. I'm not going to say definitively. My theory at the deep core of a lot of the nonsense these peoples do is because of the fact they've never had an ass whooping. And then when their parents finally do start to try to chastise them, some of them get unalived because you can't go after years and years of no accountability, then turn around, try to hold your child accountable and think that he ain't going to trip the hell out. This is why when you see children, when you have a child that has a phone in their hand all damn day long, when you take the phone out of their hands, a lot of them go off the handle. Let's be honest. A lot of the activity and a lot of the energy these people bring is I've never had an ass whooping energy. I'm gonna be one, and me too. Now I'm gonna be 100. I'm not saying you got to go around beating your child down, but let's be 100. The Bible says if you love your child, you correct them. Spare the rod, you spoil the child. And a lot of these folks have been spoiled. A lot of these folks have been not just spoiled, overly spoiled to the point where accountability is just too hurtful for them. It's like punching them in the face. So now they have to respond to the person who's trying to hold them accountable. Let's continue.
So Hendricks, what did you mean by that? Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans, that's where the trouble begins. The IRS is now ramping up enforcement for those who miss the April deadline or still owe back taxes. Well, today's sponsor, Tax Network USA, can still help. If your books are a mess, if you're self-employed, or if you're a business owner, Tax Network USA.
Here's the thing. White people have been under attack for years. It's been...
Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/peers. That's tnusa.com/peers. Let Tax Network USA make the next move, not the IRS.
Here's the thing. White people have been under attack for years. It's been systematic racism. As much as black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism.
I bet if you ask this woman how systematic racism affects white people, she couldn't give you an answer. She said it's systematic racism. Woman, who created the system? Who created the system? If the system was created by people who look like you to benefit people like you, how in the world is it systematic racism? Someone tell me that, please. These people they're literally just talking out of the sides of their necks at this point. They're pulling anything they can out of the air. Also, I thought systematic racism didn't exist. Every time black folks talk about systematic racism, systematic oppression, they say that's a figment of our imagination. All of a sudden, she can see and she knows what systematic racism is. That's very interesting and very, very telling. Salute to Retro Gemini. Thank you for being here, family.
In the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM.
The most accepted people in colleges till this day is still white Americans. She said that we get preferential treatment when we're going for jobs. Then why is the black unemployment rate higher than the unemployment rate of white folk? See, these Nabiscos, they will say something and won't make any logical sense, but then they will stand on what they said as if that's just 100% fact. It is factual and you can't tell me otherwise. And then every time they give an example, it's affirmative action, which benefited white women. It's DEI, which benefited white women. This makes no sense. But they will try to convince you that it does.
And all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially...
What cities? What cities got burned down? See, I'm glad I waited to watch this because I've been seeing clips here and there. So this is a genuine reaction, family. I wanted to make sure that this was a genuine reaction because I wanted to put all my feelings on this on the table. And I'm glad I did because this woman is dumb as hell. I don't know who this woman is, and I really don't care. But someone said, and I can't remember who said it, but I'm sure if you know, you'll put it in the comment section, that in order to be a racist, you got to be dumb as hell. And this woman is proving them correct.
Actually, this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on
hang
our side.
Hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the N-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We're talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. And so I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
white people
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
It's not about her. If it wasn't about her, she wouldn't have made upwards over almost $1 million now. It's about standing in solidarity with other white people. Okay, so it's about racism. Nothing this woman says, like literally her and Myron Gaines, I don't even think Myron's going to add anything to this conversation. Just like I'm not hearing anything added from this bigot right here from the conversation. And Hurricane, that's a great question. What's their excuse now that DEI has gone away? What's their excuse now that affirmative action has gone away? We've seen that even after affirmative action was taken away from the colleges, the black attendee rate went up. So what's the excuse? There's no more DEI. Trump is removing all the DEI. What's the excuse? Salute, Miss D. Thank you for being here. Cooking with Miss D. Thank you, family.
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
Yeah, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do, quite frankly.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, but if you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you?
William, absolutely. And we're going to get into some clips showing that he's not really for us. But as we know, white supremacy takes both sides of the argument, takes both sides of the fence. So nothing that he's doing here is impressing me whatsoever. Whatsoever.
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to be clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking about?
Well, actually, you moved it on in this debate very quickly.
Notice how she just called herself. See, this is how dumb you got to be a white supremacist. You dumb as hell. This woman just said with her full chest that she's a proud racist. Okay, cool, absolutely. But then she turns it around to try to say, well, why are we talking about Shiloh? No. Don't try to change the subject now. We're talking about you and your proudness of being a bigot. We're talking about you and the fact that you feel you can say the N-word with impunity no matter who's around or who you're saying it to. So why are you even on this show? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Piers wanted her on this show. He wanted her to speak all these racial epithets. He wants her to be the racist that she is so he can get views and get clicks. That's what the hell he really wants. And that's why he's also baiting her. He's baiting her in the way that he's speaking or interviewing her in this situation.
To your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist. And you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my.
Well, there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all.
Woman, you Irish. I can see it in the bangs. I can see it in your face. You got Irish. You got a little, maybe some German in there. You are not like a white American that came on the goddamn on the goddamn Mayflower. Why do these white folks really try their hardest to make it seem like their family came on the Mayflower? Did it come out that she date black men? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. She probably got her heart broken by one. Really? She's Jewish. You don't say. Not with the Magites giving her all that money. Are you serious? You gotta be pulling my leg. You telling me that the Magites out here giving her upwards to $1 million? And she's Jewish? I thought the Jews were responsible for everything. That's interesting. That is very interesting business right there. She got the business as she should. Shout out to PD that Ramos. Thank you for being here, family, as well as our good brother Reef. Thank you for being here, family. I'm at awe. The Magites. I don't feel bad about her getting that money now. Because I told you, all these folks was over there throwing their meth money at her. Here, take my meth money. Because she was a white woman who said she feared for her life. But it just so happened to be one of those situations where you got. Interesting. All right. let me see here. Said Afro showed us a space where the white supremacists blasted her for her background. Yeah, see, I didn't watch Brother Afro's video on this because anytime I go to do a breakdown on something and I see that one of our brothers is going to be touching on it as well, I don't like to mimic people's talking points. You get me? So I tend not to watch it until after I do my broadcast or I do my video, whatever the situation is. It kind of keeps me from mimicking with the either unknowingly mimicking someone else's talking points. Let's go back.
All just landed in America, invading your white country. Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
Oh, God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is
oh, she had a nose job too? Oh God. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna have to go and check this. I'm gonna have to check out the Twitter feed. I'm gonna have to check out the Twitter feed. Oh Jesus. Salute, Marvin. Thank you for being here, family. Oh Jesus, I did not know that. Okay, all right. Y'all gave me something to look forward to. I'm gonna go ahead and do that as a birthday gift today. Hell yeah.
stupid and racist, and at some point we have to ask ourselves, we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it.
The smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my
Well, there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just...
Shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically oppressed in this country. Every goddamn system in this country is working for Nabiscos. Thank you, Cooking with Miss D. I appreciate your wishes. Every single system. You can't show me now one system that does not benefit Nabiscos. I appreciate you, Petey. Thank you very much. The banking system, the justice system, the political system. God dang it, just name me one system that does not benefit Nabiscos. Salute, Marvin. Thank you very much, family. I appreciate your wishes. It makes no sense. So now they went from not being able to see a systematic racism to turning around and saying systematic racism affects Nabiscos. This is the world that they're living in. Salute, William. Thank you for your wishes as well, family. As well as Brother Reef, me and Kim. Appreciate you all. Thank you all for your well wishes. This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense, family. So let me get this straight. People speaking mean to you are calling out your nonsense and holding you accountable. That's systematic. I don't think she knows what systematic means, family. I don't think that she knows what systematic means. If she did, she wouldn't have used systematically oppressed. That's saying that the people in power is using the system to oppress you. The people in power look like you. So how are you systematically oppressed? I'm just asking for a friend. I just want to hammer that point home. Exactly. She don't know what she's talking about. She wants to be accepted so badly. The woman is an entire fool. You absolutely correct, all of you. But guess what? They were supporting her. The Magites was supporting her. The Magites was giving her money too. Yeah, they were giving her money too. That's why I don't feel no type of way. I love this for MAGA. I love it for MAGA. She's part Jewish and part white. Don't accept her as a white woman. Oh, she's still a white woman. Jewish and white are one and the same. Let's not get that confused. They came to this country and fought for the right to be called white. They absolutely are the same. If you don't believe me, then go and look up the case of Leo Frank. Leo Frank's lawyer, he objected to them having a black witness. He said it was going against their ability of whiteness to listen or take the word of an N-word. So they are one and the same, Jewish and white and Jewish. They are still the same damn people. There will be no separation on this side. Not at all. Salute and shalom to our sister, the ear that hears the truth. I appreciate your Cash App and your birthday wish. I appreciate it. And blessings to you. Let's get back here.
Just landed in America, invading your white country. Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it.
I don't disagree.
Oh, you definitely disagree, Piers. Let me tell you why you disagree. Because it's clicks and views for you. It's clicks and views for you. If you did agree with what Mark Lamont Shields said, she wouldn't even be on your platform, sir. Myron Gaines, aka M. Fudel, would not be on your platform, sir. Let's be real. And salute and shalom to our family, Aquarius minded. Thank you for your Cash App and thank you for your birthday wishes, family. We're going to have a nice one tonight because I get to sleep today. Once I get back from my dinner or whatnot, I get to sleep. So it's going to be a great one. All right. Let's get back here.
I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment. So
no, Piers, you knew she was going to say that because you keep baiting her to say things that you want her to say. She wouldn't even want to be, she wouldn't be on the platform if you didn't know she was going to say the things that she says, because she'd be saying them all over the line. All online, it's everywhere. This woman is a racist. Let's be very, very clear. If Piers didn't know what you were going to say, you wouldn't be on the show. Salute to our brother Hurricane for the birthday dono. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, family. Thank you very much. But this is what Piers is trying to do. Piers is trying to gully up his black audience. He thinks we're gullible. He thinks that if he calls her racist enough, people are going to forget about his racist rants, about his anti-black rants. But we're not going to let people do that. No. I got some of those rants here today we're going to get at. But let's get through this.
Someone who's saying technically black people were, no, technically Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word.
You know what? Let's go back because there's a point there I want to touch on.
Well, there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country. Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, we want to reward this kind of.
All right, so family, shalom and salute to Shamika Great. Thank you for being here, family. Family, this whole, well, they were brought here. This is another reason why we're shutting a lot of their nonsense down. Because a lot of us already know that many of our families were here before antebellum slavery started. before the transatlantic slave trade started. I was saying to our brother Gary in the last live, my fellow wise brother, I was telling him how my grandfather told me when we were younger that his grandparents were Blackfoot. So guess what? That means down the line somewhere, my grandfather's family was already here before anybody got over here. The Pilgrims, hey, it might go back farther than that. Because we have in our brother Black Alpha, he brought this up on one of his broadcasts, where there's fossilized footprints in New Mexico that dates back to up to 21,000 years. So we know that it ain't the Siberians. We've been here longer than anybody. So for her to say this is the white country, no, it's not. And when they were trying to build a white country, they damn near cannibalized themselves. Shout out to the Hula Gang. Thank you for being here, family. You can go back and read about the Jamestowns and all these folks who were literally dying off because they could not build a white country. They could not build. And these were just colonies at the time. Let's not get confused. This is not a white country. This is literally a country created, built off the backs and the blood of foundational Black Americans. That's it. And without us, y'all wouldn't have made it. Y'all wouldn't even have made it a decade. I ain't going to say a century. You wouldn't even made it a decade. Salute to Ramon. Thank you for being here, family.
Disgusting behavior by platforming it.
I don't disagree with that. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying.
I absolutely agree with you, William. I absolutely agree with you. And that's one of the reasons why, even though he's doing an okay job. I'll give him that. He's doing an okay job. The whole point of this broadcast is to remind people how white supremacy takes both sides of the fence. They didn't bring up somebody like Tariq Nasheed to debate this topic, even though I don't think Tariq would have came on this broadcast with Amru Fudel anyway, because of the fact that Tariq has already spanked them. Matter of fact, hold on. I think I have video of Tariq giving him that spanking too. It was a cold spanking. So I don't think Tariq would have been on this broadcast, because unless they paid him enough money, it's not worth to have this conversation with Amru anymore. But I hope they do get the money together. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want them to get the money together, just so Amru can just lose the rest of the credibility that he has within his little red pill community. Just so he can be embarrassed 15 times over.
Technically, Black people were technically Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing a small Black child. It's disgusting.
Well,
you can't expect morals from someone who don't have any. These people have shown themselves to never, you ain't never seen them with morals. Name me one time you've seen a Nabisco who has morals. I'm going to be 100 with you. Even when you think they got morals, like your Jane Elliott's, When you start talking about reparations, all the morals go right out the damn door, don't they? All the morals go right out the damn door when you start talking about things of actual morality. I have never seen one. And if I see one, it'd be like seeing the great white buffalo. It'd be like seeing a unicorn.
I never said that.
No, you may as well have done, because you're just an unashamed
That's the implication of
proud
that's the
racist. Let me
implication,
bring in Myron Gaines, because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and, wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No, she thinks she's a racist.
Well, let me
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody.
She's not identifying as a racist.
Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is, it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now,
family, these people don't understand definitions. What Amru just described isn't racism. Racism is prejudice plus power. It is prejudice plus power. Everything without power is just prejudice. Now, you could say everybody has some sort of prejudice, and I would have to agree there. But when you sit here and then say everybody has some sort of racism within them, no. It is prejudice plus power, Amru. But you don't understand that because you're not from here. And plus, you're trying to uphold the power that racism needs in order to survive. It's more like seeing a UFO. And you let these Nabiscos tell it, there's been sightings left and right for the past 5 years. I'm just saying, that's a little bit less rare than a unicorn nowadays, apparently.
How racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think the Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organization. What I mean by this is, for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example,
screenshot that. What the hell is black supremacy? Tariq says this all the time, and I'm gonna have to mimic what he said on this because it's the best way to put it. You can't have two supremes. That's an oxymoron. Either it's going to be white supremacists or black supremacists. And we're clear in America, there is no black supremacy. See, white supremacy is what you're seeing right now when it comes to this Shiloh Hendricks situation. That's white supremacy down to the T. You disrespect or try to harm a black child, and all these Nabiscos come out of nowhere to put funds in your pocket for doing so. Not to condemn you, not to say you're wrong, but to make excuses for you and put funds in your pocket. That's white supremacy. On the other side, because he's going to try it, I'm pretty sure he's going to try to bring up our brother Carmelo. That's not black supremacy. That's black people getting on code and saying, we're not going to allow you to railroad this young brother. Like y'all have done to us. Story after story after story keeps coming out about all the people who are being released from prison because they didn't commit the crime that they once were thought they committed. Story after story after story. More than 56% of all acquittals. If black supremacy was a thing, we wouldn't have that problem. Oh, hi there, Robert. Well, I'm glad that you came in and joined the church. Do I believe in Christ? Sure. Maybe not the Christ you believe in. Who is Christ? What is Christ's real name? Is Christ a Nabisco? You let me know those things in the comment. Look forward to it. Let's get back here.
Example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals and winds up.
What? Ferguson, criminal. He just put a whole damn town and labeled it a criminal. A whole damn town. He didn't mention a specific situation. He mentioned the whole damn town. That's interesting. Salute to Andrea Jones. Thank you for being here, my sister.
Happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that,
prove that statement. Because all to the contrary, what you're saying is actually the opposite. There is no crime statistics that says black people kill white people more than any other race. That's bull stuff. And he knows it's bull stuff. But he comes in and start yelling, spewing all these anti-black talking points because he has nothing to add to the conversation. Nothing.
most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white people killing, white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole
most of the shootings in America are white cops killing other white men. Where are these stats? Where are these stats? These imaginary numbers that these people keep on spewing out doesn't exist. But the 56% of all acquittals that I just mentioned does. Amru, Mr. Fudel, every single person who listens to this man is an idiot. He's an idiot, or she's an idiot.
So systemic racism or police brutality, or, oh, it's also messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white.
Aquarius, you must have forgot about the live that he joined where they was calling him one to his face. They didn't even wait till he got behind his back. They was calling him one to his face. And he's still out here tap dancing like the clown he is. But I digress.
White people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that?
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's fine.
it.
You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are relevant. The Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their moral claims, about the racism, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American.
All right. That was a great point, and that was a great catch right there, Mark. I will give you flowers for that one. That was an incredibly great catch right there. because you can't sit here on one side of the fence and demonize the whole goddamn black community. But then when you see instances like this, where you have all these races coming out to support other races, no, we can't put that all in one area. These are individuals and we got to treat it as such. No. Hell no. What's up to my brother Gary Williams? Thank you for being here, family. No. He needs some straightening. Yeah, he's getting some straightening too. And I gotta give it to him. That was a great catch there. That was a great catch.
That's quite frustrating to hear.
If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Let me ask Ricky. Let me ask Ricky.
This isn't about being soft anymore than when you were desperately saving these white people.
This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about I didn't articulate. Hold on. Let me finish, Myron. Let me speak and then I'll let you respond. Myron, I didn't articulate any sensitivity here. What I said, in the same way that you levied a judgment against black people, I'm levying one against the claims you're making. I'm no more sensitive than you were when you made your claim. I'm simply saying I disagree with you. And to immediately jump to you're being sensitive is just a distraction. I'm making an argument here. Just respond to my argument.
If you're struggling with sleepless nights and exhausting days, you might want to try Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is...
Yeah, family. So I'm not gonna lie. Mark is holding his own. And I feel you. No, I'm not one of those type of people that ain't gonna say, okay, I can give you a flower for what you said there. It only says that what you said there was needed to be said. Doesn't mean that I'm with you, I rock with you, nothing like that. Because I definitely do not rock with no man who don't know what the difference between a man and a woman is. We don't do that on this side. That means that you'll sleep with anything moving. I ain't got time for none of that. None of it.
Political correctness, liberalism, and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words could offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people, while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist as they want to be, as violent as they want to be, without any type of consequence. And if you call it out, you're labeled a racist. The reality is this: black people don't want to live around black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of black people. I moved to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe.
Family, I live in Missouri City. This is considered a black suburb. Can you guess who my neighbors are? I can't walk 3 blocks and see anybody other than black in my neighborhood. That's something I am truly proud about. I'm truly happy. Now, don't get me wrong. We might have 1 or 2 Nabiscos somewhere in these areas. I don't see them, though. We got a couple of Hispanics down the block, but they cool. They do what they do. They mind their business. But majority of the people that stays in my neighborhood are all black. And I love it. I love it. I left my garage open one night, and my neighbor called my brother-in-law and was like, hey, is everything good over there? Your garage is open. But don't worry, I got you. This is 3, 4 something in the morning. And I have a lot of equipment in my garage, a lot of things in the garage. I woke up and went out into that garage and everything was still there. Do I have to say that again? Everything was still there. And that tells me, hell, I went to sleep with my doors open. Well, not wide open, but unlock things like that. Everything is still everything. So you know what that tells me? Living around black people ain't that bad. Now, when I was living around the meth heads in California, you couldn't leave a door unlocked. You couldn't leave a window cracked. Let's be real honest about these things. Exactly, Damon. It's called respect. And we respect each other in my neighborhood. Now, we might not like, some of the shenanigans that go down sometimes. Things does happen. People are human. But we never turn that towards each other. We look out for each other in this neighborhood because each other looks out for us. That's called community, folks. And what Amru is running around here trying to do is act as if we don't have no damn community. No, family, you don't have no damn community. You don't want to live around black folks because you like proximity to whiteness. We saw the picture of you laying in bed with a white man, laying your chest on your head on his chest. What kind of, or letting the man lay his head on your chest, whatever, whichever way it happened. What kind of man does that and try to say he's still a man? I'm gonna be honest with you. He got the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm pretty sure that's what his spirit is. Getting bent over. Yeah, he can't live around us because he self-hates and he would have got punched in his mouth. That's just what that is. I'd rather live around on cold black people because some things happen. We got each other's back. Exactly. Amru is literally just outside of our community. So anything happens to him, he got nobody to run to. He got nobody to run to. He can't even run back to the Sudan. They don't want him back. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't want him back.
Now, this uncomfortable reality, and no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. The majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before: systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for those.
White people ain't been able to step up. Family. Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny. If you're saying white people have not been able to step up, and Daniel Penny walked behind a man who wasn't touching or bothering no damn body but himself, and unalive this man, what the hell are you talking about? They haven't been able to step up. He stepped up and became a murderer, and white supremacy got on cold and let him off for it. Is this the system in which this Lily woman is running around here talking about they're oppressed under? The same system that gets on cold to make sure people who look like her don't get held accountable? I'm confused. Salute to JD Black. Thank you for being here, family. I'm confused. Are these the oppressive systems in which you're speaking about, Lily? I have to say it like Eddie Murphy when he was talking about that drunk wife. Oh, well, the drunk husband talking to his wife. Lillian? Is this the system you talk about, Lillian? Oh, man.
Bringing Ricky to respond. Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that I agree that virtue signaling went too far, that political correctness went too far, but we're going from virtue signaling being the norm and being praised to now vice signaling being the norm and being praised. It's not just a matter of does this woman have the right to use that word? I believe that she has the right. I disagree with it. But is she now being rewarded with $500,000? Why are we rewarding people for performing vice instead of virtue? This is not healthy. This is destructive to our society. This is destructive to our social fabric, to our culture, to our ability to live with other fellow Americans. It's gross to reward someone for bad behavior. It's one thing to tolerate it, to say that she has the right to do it, but she called an autistic 5-year-old the N-word. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like we're kind of like missing the point in the actual context. You can say that it's part of this bigger meta story of black and white America, but it actually is just like a short little clip, and you don't even know the context of it, and it's actually gross. And if we can't just say that it's gross and bad, then I don't really know where we are.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Lily Gaddis, you retweeted Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, by saying he said black people just raised $500,000 for a cold-blooded killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear one word about the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser. Either everyone gets to be tribal or nobody does. Why would you retweet?
Good point. That's your people, Mary Lou. That is your people. And this woman retweeting Nick Fuentes, I'm not surprised. She already told you she's a stone cold racist. And if they want to say people giving money to Shiloh is a microcosm of all the money that was given to Carmelo, okay, let's take that for a second. Let's take them at their word. If that's the case, why did y'all give all that money to Daniel Penny? Why did you give all that money to Kyle Rittenhouse? None of this happened during those times. So why were y'all so gung-ho off of funding them? Derek Chauvin, why did you fund Derek Chauvin? He's an outright murderer. See, what they're saying doesn't make sense because in every sense of the word, when you speak about these things, you can remove Carmelo Anthony from it and you're still going to have the same things happening. You still have the same things happening.
Tweet that.
Because I agree with it. We have to fight fire with fire. I mean, at some point, why are
nobody does?
Why are Jewish people allowed to be tribal? Why are Black people allowed to be tribal? But as soon as white people stand up for themselves, we're labeled a racist. And by the way, you call people racist when you want them to stop talking about
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were racist. Hang on. I called, just to be clear, I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, yeah, I use the N-word all the time against Black people. I'm a racist and I'm proud of it.
That's how dumb she is, ladies and gentlemen. That's how stupid this woman is as a white supremacist, because you put your racism all on the table and now you can't deny that you're a racist. Even Piers Morgan, one of your racists, one of your fellow racists, can sit here now and say at least every time someone calls him a racist, he fights against it. Oh, I'm not no racist. I'm not no racist. But the fact that, because he wants, plausible deniability. Now she wants plausible deniability after admitting with her full damn chest that she's a stone cold racist. Ain't that some stuff? Salute, Maxwell. Thank you for being here, family. I appreciate you for being here.
That's what you did.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around Black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by Black people. Where in my country, you can have
Wait a second. Racism is just a preference? Racism is just a preference, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, you would have to go and ask Democrats. You would literally have to go and ask Democrats. And then when you ask them, make sure you tell them that the Black grassroots said to stop that shit. Now go ahead. But anyway, back to what this idiot was saying. Racism is a preference. No. Liking tall men is a preference. Liking short women is a preference. Liking a woman with a little junk in her trunk, that's a preference. Liking people within your own damn community, that's a preference. Racism is prejudice plus power. So not only are you prejudiced, you have the power to enact or stop someone from doing things. So you have the power to stop a person from getting a house due to the racist laws or the books when it comes to banking. You can see races in your laws. You see racism in the court systems. But liking a person with a fat ass is not a racist. So no, racism isn't just a preference.
Have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see.
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I just have to repeat it. Because all these folks that come together talking about, can we all just come together as Christ's children under one God and one love and get along? This is your Christian here. She's a Christian. That's why I can't have nobody who ain't a part of my community pray for me. My grandmama always told me, don't let people pray for you, baby. You don't know what the hell they praying for. You may be praying for freedom and they may be praying to keep you in chains, baby. I feel you, family. I know you FBA family, no worries. I'm just saying, I can't answer a question about the Democrats. You have to take that to the Democrats. And then when you get there, you can speak for us, let them know to stop that shit. That's all I'm saying. But no worries, family. I know you FBA family. I know you FBA.
See anyone as less human, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N-word in relation to them, a word that causes that community unbelievable
offense.
My fault?
Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
Family. Notice how she said the crime statistics, which are very real, by the way. If they were very real, you wouldn't have to put that caveat in there, right? That they're real. If they're real, everybody would know they're real. You're trying to convince people that they're real. You're trying to convince people that they're real, but they're not. That's why we can always cite sources and you guys can't cite one source.
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. We've never lynched you, we've never enslaved you, we've never done any of the deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people that white people have done to black people, and yet to claim some kind of moral superiority in the midst of, and again, in the context of a conversation where a white woman is calling a 5-year-old autistic child the N-word, and we're talking about black people's bad behavior. This is absurd. And the idea of fighting fire with fire, again, is a dishonest argument. Just to take us back to the point here. The people who are supporting Carmelo Anthony's campaign believe that he was wrongfully charged, and they're trying to get him legal defense. The people who are defending this woman are saying, yes, we know you called the 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word, and we want more of it. We approve of it. We support it. These are not the same thing. And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word. I mean, Mike, let me just ask you that question. I think this is a yes or no question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think the woman was wrong to do what she did to that child in that park?
I don't. Before he even gets to that, I want to touch on this. We don't have the same God, because the God they worship is white supremacy and the white supremacist system. That's the God that they worship. And that's why every single time you get a black win where they perceive it as a win for black people, they start to lose their damn minds. They start to lose their minds because the system in which they fight to uphold is crumbling in their eyes. Even though none of these systems have been reformed, they will break down and lose their mental state because of the fact they perceive that the system in which they uphold is being torn down or taken apart. So I 100% agree with each one of you, family. We don't serve the same God because the God that they serve is white supremacy. That's how you can have someone on here saying she's a Christian woman trying to take up and defend white people running around here speaking anti-black racist tropes.
I don't approve of that, but what I will say is that it's very important to understand the entire context of what led us to this position, because again, Metcalf and Hendricks is a microcosm of a much larger problem. Earlier, we were talking about tribalism when you were mentioning Nick Fuentes' tweet. Here's the thing. Black people can be as tribal as they want to be. You have people like Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson running around about black power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if
family, why y'all think he mentioned Tariq Nasheed? Why do you think he mentioned Tariq Nasheed? And shout out and shalom to our family GD. Thank you for being here, family. Why do you guys think he mentioned Tariq? Well, I got a video of why he mentioned Tariq. Tariq didn't spank that ass, and he wants that get back. He needs his get back. He needs that lick back, and he's not getting it. And all the people he's sending into Tariq spaces, they're not getting Tariq to budge. You come with that dollar amount that Tariq wants, and you'll get it. And what he's trying to do here is use Piers Morgan's goddamn platform to try to bait Tariq to come onto. Yeah, most likely it's going to be on the Piers Morgan platform or any platform. That's the real reason why he mentioned his name, because he got dog walked, and he got dog walked so bad. Tariq was so good at dog walking this dude, he didn't even need a leash. He had the dog walking on the side of him and everything. No leash. Every time he tried to run away, he snapped his finger, get back over here, and he'd come walking back. Because that's what he does. He got thrashed. He got mollywopped. The price went up to 60 G's. The price has gone up. And every time, and I heard Tariq say it too, every time they mention my name, the price going to go up. That's right, my brother. Get your damn money. They pocket watch you anyway. Go ahead and get your money, my brother. Hell, God dang it, damn waiting for them to say your name. Just anticipate them saying your name and just raise it to 100,000. Come to the table with 100K.
if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately ostracized and labeled as supremacists, and they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting.
You can't say keep it. See, what he's saying is an oxymoron. You can't say keep my nation white if your nation has never been white in the first damn place. Where are we, in Norway? Or are we in America? What a country literally needed black innovation in order to survive. Let me ask you this question, family, before we continue. And this is just a hypothetical. If black American innovation was not a part of America, where do you think America would be? Do you think we would be a first world country? Do you think we'd be the most powerful nation on the planet? I just really want to ask that question. Yeah. That's his real problem. He wish he could be Tariq. I'm not even going to say he's jealous. He is envious of Tariq. He wants to be in Tariq's body. He hates the support that Tariq gets. He hates the fact that he has a large following. He hates Tariq because he's so envious of Tariq. Let's make that very clear. in some caves with a pile of doo-doo in the middle of the floor. Nope. A third world nation. Absolutely. I agree with. I think America exactly wouldn't exist without foundational Black American innovation. Hell, we got tired of doing work and just started creating stuff. The cotton gin. That was created because we got tired of doing work all damn day, and somebody thought to themselves, hey, if we had something that could, make this work quicker, we wouldn't have to be outside all day. And when cotton gin was created, the white man saw it and said, oh, you innovated, huh? You innovator, huh? Okay, we're still gonna have you picking cotton all damn day. Everything that we did, it furthered the country in some sort of way, some shape or form. So for this man to be talking about keeping the nation white, my man, if we kept the nation white, they would have cannibalized themselves. They were already doing it. And that wasn't even the nation. That was just in the territories. Because remember, there was free blacks here. There was Moorish blacks here. There were native blacks here. So this ain't never been a white nation. Yeah, he is really a non-factor, but the fact that he gets put on these platforms and run his mouth as an agent of white supremacy, that makes him a problem. That makes him an absolute problem. Yeah, everyone else is grateful for our contributions. We should take them back. They're ungrateful. Let's take them all back. You go shit in the hole. Don't sit on that toilet. Don't sit on that toilet. Don't turn on that light. Don't jump behind the wheel of your car. Don't get in the airplane. We can continue. I can go on and on and on. But literally just those few things will ruin your life. Let's continue, family.
Interesting. And matter of fact, you want to
the same thing?
No, actually, it is the same thing, because here's the problem with Black people.
No, it's not.
Hold on, let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter, Black Power, but if white people get together and say white power, gather together, they're considered white supremacists and they get banned off every single platform. Why is that?
Because white power is tied into harming Black people, and Black empowerment is tied into self-determination, building for our own, watching each other's back because of people who say white power. It's not the same. It's not the same. Exactly. Don't turn on that computer. Don't use that cell phone. On and on. You don't do any of that. Turn off your TV. Turn off your TV. Exactly. Black power doesn't harm other communities. White power do. White power is literally the whole orifices of white power is keeping other people down to maintain your white power.
That Jared Taylor and Nick Fuentes are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism, but Black people are allowed to stand on every single platform getting interviews on the Breakfast Club. Explain that to me. There's a two-tier situation here where Black people are able to benefit off of being racist while whites are not. And what we're dealing with right now...
Are you goddamn serious? A two-tier situation? So you can see a two-tier system when it comes to this situation, but when Black Americans is calling out systemic injustice, you can't see that two-tier system. I'm glad these people are coming out speaking. I am glad, because it shows the moronic nature of these people. It shows the moronic nature of the Magites.
In America is literally a backlash to this black supremacy has been able to run around unchecked for a long time, and no one has the balls to call it out. Here's the other thing I want to say. Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks is saying the N-word.
Hey, can I talk about the point you just made, though?
Hold on. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear it about...
Family, what liberal cities was destroyed during those protests? That would literally... I can name cities that's been destroyed in America. Black Wall Street, Greenwood, hell, even the land that the Central Park sits on. Those are destroyed towns and neighborhoods. What town, city, neighborhood got destroyed during the protests? Don't worry, I'll wait. This is the idiocracy that these people bring to the table.
Oh, this she made $500,000 because said the N-word. Who cares? They destroyed billions of dollars of structure because someone got killed who was a criminal. That's the problem in America. You guys get a privilege that no one else gets to enjoy. You can be racist.
Okay.
And
all right, I have to, hang on. I'm going to hold it there. We've got another guest joining us. Mark, I'll come back to you to respond to that in a moment. But we've been joined now by Jacob Wells. He's a Christian founder of the Give, Send, Go donation site that both campaigns have been hosted on. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, Mr. Wells.
This is the one I've been waiting on. I heard about this man. Now, I'm glad we get to watch this together. Now, let's see what this man has to say about letting a stone-cold racist fun crowd on his platform.
First of all, your reaction to what seems to me to be a blatant hijacking of both of these fundraising host sites for different reasons, but definitely being hijacked by people for racist motivation.
No, I think that's completely correct, Piers. I do think that there was an element here that did hijack, that came at this and really became a racist, tribalist element between the two campaigns. Independently of themselves, I think that they would have existed on our platform in a whole different manner, but because of the narratives around them and the proximity to each other, they created a life of their own, and it is unfortunate, it's sad to see, because as a Christian myself, what I respect about humanity and the image of God on us, I believe that we're all valuable, I believe that people have dignity and worth, and we want to see that upheld for people, even in difficult moments. That's why our platform exists, is to share hope with people, and it's been a difficult week, several weeks of just navigating the complexity of these situations as a platform.
Family, this man just sat here. This man just sat here and said these two things, if they existed separately, that these issues wouldn't be happening. Sir, you allowed a woman who called a 5-year-old the N-word to crowdfund on your platform. What the hell you thought the comment section would look like? Tell me, what in the hell did you think the comment section would look like? Did you think it was going to be a bunch of God-fearing people in the comment section? If you allow a racist to crowdfund, other races are going to give money. That's how it works. That's how the system of white supremacy operates. So tell me. Shout out to our brother Christopher Ellis. Thank you for being here, family. Blah, blah, blah. I'm enjoying my commission from these donations. That's basically what it boils down to. Basically what it boils down to. Shalom and salute to our family, Makiba. Thank you for being here, family. Appreciate you, family. Appreciate you. Who did he expect? Yeah, the Christian bull stuff. Who did you expect to be the Patreons of this woman's platform that you gave her? If the reason why she's there is because she was being racist and people was holding her accountable for being racist. So if that's the case, How can you even look at both of these situations as the same? One was a kid who's trying to protect himself from what may have been a jumping situation, versus another where a woman caused the situation by being a bigot, being a racist, being the person that these other races look up to and want to give funds to. Let's be very clear on that.
Strength training burns more fat than cardio alone and is critical.
Let that play through. It makes no sense to me. And these are the people, that's why I say, when people ask me, are you a Christian? I tell them straight off the back, if God don't have a religion, neither do I. Why should I have a religion if God don't? I'm not a Christian. I'm not a goddamn a Muslim or nothing like that. If anything, I go more into the Hebrew set. That's just what it is. But when we break this down, hold on, let me go back here. When we break this down about other folks who claim to be Christians, they're the reason why many of us moved away from Christianity in the first damn place. They're the reason why many of us have walked away from the Christian church in the first damn place, because of the hypocritical nature of folks, because of the way people treat each other. You will sit here and look me dead in my face and say that we are brothers and sisters under Christ, but then we'll turn around and give money to a woman who calls a 5-year-old an N-word with the hard ER. This is why we're not under any disillusions about any of these people. And I mean any of these people. You can hide behind Christianity all you want, but your racism is showing and you need to pull your skirt down.
Hendricks. It seems to be pretty open and shut. This is a woman on camera repeatedly using the N-word. First of all, with a 5-year-old autistic child, it seems. Then an adult who's filming her, doesn't care, is blatantly racist. Why should someone like that be allowed to raise any money on your site if, as you say, you are driven by a Christian purpose?
Well, that's a fascinating question. I would almost flip it around. It's like if we tried to create litmus tests for everybody to come onto a platform to use it, I pretty much could guarantee nobody would pass the litmus test, because the reality of humanity is that we're broken. This is the whole principle of Jesus in the first place, is that we needed a savior, and that's what he came for.
So just to be clear, just to be clear, then, hang on, just to be clear, that's interesting what you just said. So you would let anybody onto your platform to raise money for anything? Is that your position?
No, the position is that.
Real quick, that part right there. That's why the name of this channel is the Church of Black Empowerment. That was the original name. I shortened it to the Church of Black Power. Because if Black empowerment is not your religion, I don't want to have conversation with you about religion. Because I can dog walk you about Christianity all damn day. I grew up in the church. My grandfather, he's a deacon in the church. My uncle, he was a pastor of 2 different churches before he retired. I know that book front and back. But when you're looking at the earth as it is, Christianity, that's nothing but a crutch and a tool. The same way these white folks, their religion is white supremacy. So why in the hell wouldn't my religion be Black empowerment? We always have been the antithesis of everything they are. They practice white supremacy. We practice Black empowerment. They practice anti-Black racism. We practice Black love. Oh, Jesus Christ. See, that's a testimony that a lot of people need to hear. I learned how to pimp at church. MD, you a cold brother. You took that Bible and put it to work, huh? Jesus Christ, I gotta give you that. That is the most that's the most pimpish stuff I've ever heard. I'm gonna give you that right there, family. 100-fold. Bald vampire type. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Someone else says he looks evil. I absolutely agree. And he does look like a vampire. I ain't gonna lie. Ooh, crazy.
There are laws that define what is legal and what isn't legal. And we adhere to the laws as the framework for what is and isn't allowed.
And inciting racial hatred is a crime, right?
Inciting racial hatred is a crime?
Yeah.
Where?
You don't think it's a crime?
In the U.S.?
Yeah, it is.
I've never seen that as a law on the books, but
it is.
That was part of the reason.
I'm not even American, and I know it's a law on the books. You're not allowed to incite racial hatred or violence against ethnic groups based on their ethnicity. What could be a more glaring example than someone on camera calling black people the N-word?
Violence and words are two different things, and we do make a distinction of that in America. They are very clearly different things.
Violence and words are two different things? Sir, when the words are literally on the list of hate words, if you can get wiped off of any other platform for saying the N-word with the hard ER, why are you trying to say it's just words? A lot of those words have actions behind them that's been taking place for centuries. But let's let them continue.
Things. I don't know of any law. I'd be happy for you to inform me with what that law is, because I don't know everything. I'm happy to admit that. But as has already been mentioned on the show earlier, there are needs that exist outside of the reality of that moment for Shiloh. I don't condone the behavior. Obviously, we didn't see the actual behavior that was accused.
You do condone that behavior. You absolutely condone that behavior. You know how I know you condone the behavior? Because she's crowdfunding on your platform and you haven't removed it. Very interesting.
Used in the moment. What we saw was the aftermath of a kind of baited moment. And
she carries on using the N-word to a black person with impunity. That's a racist.
Hula gang. You're absolutely correct, bro. That just hit me hard in the chest. I love those Hitman games, man. So you're absolutely correct. That's exactly who he looks like. A very sickly.
Yeah, well, she might have some racial elements. I don't know. Shiloh
some racial elements. She
know.
uses the N-word repeatedly to a black man, and she doesn't deny having just used it to a 5-year-old black child. I'm not sure what more evidence you need that this person's a racist. And my question for you is simply, where is that line for you? You say it's the law.
Well,
if somebody is literally raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to support them because they were blatantly racist, I'm just curious how that fits with the Christian ethos of what your site's supposed to be about.
Well, it fits actually very well, because we can, like I started to say, we don't operate on a litmus test of your past behaviors as far as the services that you get to provide. The moment that you start walking down the narrative that we're not going to provide you electricity, water, because we don't like you, the structural elements, the movement of money, which is a basic element to society.
So let me just ask you this. So if someone was being blatantly anti-Semitic, for example, would you allow them to raise money on your platform to defend themselves over their anti-Semitism?
We sit in a very interesting position as a platform in trying to navigate the complexities of these issues.
So what's the answer, though?
You can say things. Well, I'll say historically, we've stood on that principle of saying we're going to allow things that we disagree with, and we've allowed things that we completely disagree with.
Do you allow people to do pro-abortion? Do you allow pro-abortion fundraising?
Actually, there's two caveats to what Give Send Go has carved out, and one of them is it's broken into two pieces, but it's the protection of children. So we say we're going to protect children because they don't have a voice.
Wait a second, the protection of children, but yet you're letting this woman who disrespected and called a 5-year-old child the N-word. How are you protecting that child? If your whole thing is protecting children, I'm just curious. Inquiring minds would love to know.
So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give Send Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about a 5-year-old child what about a 5-year-old black child being called the N-word?
What about that?
Where does the protection for that child come in?
Family, look into this man's eyes when Piers asked him the same damn question that I just asked. I just posed. Look at the look in this man's eyes. He looks almost confused. He looks almost baffled by the damn question.
Has carved out, and one of them is it's broken into two pieces, but it's the protection of children. So we say we're going to protect children because they don't have a voice. So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give Send Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about a 5-year-old child being? What about a 5-year-old black child being called the N-word?
What about that?
Where does the protection?
Look at him, family. He's puzzled. He's puzzled. What about that? What do you mean? What about that? This is what the whole goddamn conversation is about. This is what the whole conversation is about. Exactly, Aquarius. Mayo-splaining. He's dropping mayo all over the damn floor. It got an olive oil in it. Golly.
For that child come in?
Well, that's their parents' responsibility. That's like if my child, and I have several children, if my child was called something bad, I would take my child aside and I would tell them.
Wait a second. No. We're not just going to skip right past that. No, we can't do that at all. So protecting the child that you said your whole organization is there for, the protection of children. So you won't allow anybody to crowdfund for abortions. Excuse me. You won't allow anybody to crowdfund for abortions. And you won't allow anybody to crowdfund to have gender reassignment surgery for a child. Now, wouldn't those two things be on the parent as well? If a woman can't afford to have a child, or she knows that she might have complications having a child, isn't that her business? And isn't it up to the parents to say yes or no on whether a child can have gender reaffirming surgery? But yet you took it upon yourselves to put it into your creed that, yeah, we're not going to allow funding for these two things. But then when you're asked about protection of a kid who's being called the N-word, oh, the protection is now up to the parents? This is highly interesting to me. Salute to Keyballon Nation. Thank you very much for your Cashapp donation, family, and I appreciate your birthday wish as well. It's 100% ludicrous. You want to protect children in some ways, but not all around or all across the board. That makes absolutely no sense. And I'm wondering, who are those women that he's talking about we don't crowdfund for abortions for? I guarantee you it wasn't black folks on their mind when they said we're not going to allow people to crowdfund for abortions. Guarantee you that.
You just said that one of the caveats. You just said one of the caveats for Give Send Go is the protection of children. You talked about the transitioning process. You talked about abortion, which is obviously your Christian perspective on that. And I'm simply saying, why doesn't it include children being racially abused? Why is that suddenly the parents' responsibility, not yours as a platform?
No, because
you are literally enriched. You are going to make a. Well, look, let me just spell it out to you. The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child. And if
Johnny D, thank you for being here, family. The reason why they keep trying to disrespect, and I'm not saying disrespect because they're not getting it in, because we're calling their asses out on it left and right. They keep trying to disrespect because they keep losing. They want Black Americans to have all this emotion, and they want us to ride for their causes. And every time we don't ride for their causes, they take an L on both sides, whether it's Magites or whether it's the libtards, on both sides. And because they're taking L's, they cannot even put up with it. They're losing their minds left and right. They can't conceive what losing should look like for them. So they start lashing out. That's the reason why, family. Shalom and salute to our brother Brandon Dumas. Thank you for being here, family.
If your caveats are
that's incorrect.
Well, hang on. Well, you are.
No, I'm not. Because one, we're a platform. We don't make donations to these campaigns. These are individuals that are making donations.
This person will become a millionaire because of your platform.
No, it's not because of our platform. They could send checks and they could send money a million different ways to individuals.
But they're using your platform.
Avenues.
And you've already said to me you carve out things because you want to protect children. I'm just curious, why is racially abusing a child not one of your carve outs?
That was a great damn question. Why is racially abusing a child not a part of the caveats that you had cut out? I mean, everything else is about protecting the child, right? So racially disrespecting and being a bigot towards a child is okay in your eyes.
Well, what the campaign is fundraising for. So we have to make a distinction between what happens on Give, Send, Go and then what happens outside of Give, Send, Go. Because
I don't give a damn what the person is campaigning for. The premise of the campaign is her denigrating a 5-year-old autistic black child. What the hell are you talking about? That's like saying a person got, I don't want to put it that way. Let me think about how I want to phrase this, because it's very ignorant that he just said that. I don't care about what happened before as long as you get on this platform and it has nothing to do with what happened before, but it does. That's basically what he's saying. I can't judge her for what happened before this platform, but the fundraising is because of what happened before that platform.
Because we can't police everything that happens outside of Give, Send, Go. All that we can police is what happens on Give, Send, Go. So the two instances that I gave were about campaigns that if they were created on Give, Send, Go, that we would, for those scenarios, we would prevent. But things that happen outside of Give, Send, Go, we can't police around. So does someone have the right to raise funds for their security, for their protection, because they've been doxxed, because of a snapshot moment, because everyone has a camera in their pocket? And today, we can see the outworking of this. 3 years ago in New York City, in the middle of the city, there was an altercation between a woman and a black man over bird watching and dogs, and her name was Amy Cooper. And to this day, 3 years later, she hasn't been able to find a job. Because she made a bad mistake, saying the wrong thing in a.
Wait a second. I know he ain't talking about the lady that was walking that damn dog, and the black guy asked her to put her dog on a leash, and she started going the hell off, saying she was going to call the police on him. And then when she got on the phone with the police, she started lying about the whole situation. Is he talking about that woman? Am I supposed to feel sorry for that woman? I feel nothing, in the words of Torian. I feel absolutely nothing.
Particular moment
Well,
where
racially abused him.
out.
You racially abused him. If you racially abuse people, you are made accountable for your actions.
So for the rest of your life, the rest of your life, you're shut from society.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences, probably for your professional life.
No, I'm not saying,
for the rest of your professional life.
We understand that there are consequences. Yeah. I understand there's consequences. What I'm saying is what you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she should be pushed into the recesses of society, and that she should not have a voice, that she should be canceled and silenced. This is what drives people to suicide. And it's this cancel culture mantra.
Oh, this is going to seem mean, family. This is going to seem mean. Maybe they should unalive themselves. If these are the kind of people that they're going to be on this planet, maybe they should go, because nature don't want them here either. Nature and everything on this planet is working against you people. All the Nabiscos know it. So why should I care if this is the kind of things that causes a person to unalive themselves? They shouldn't have said it in the first damn place. or they should apologize for their ignorance and dubious behavior. I'm supposed to care?
That thinks that the best way forward as a society is to cancel them rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation. And for Give, Send, Go, our purpose and our hope is not that we agree with every single campaign. It's why we started a prayer team at Give, Send, Go. We actually call every campaign owner and we pray with them. And we actually talk them back from the ideological edges that they find themselves in by saying, you know what, there's a God that loves you. You don't need to get into this tribal space. You need to focus on rebuilding that relationship with him, because that's the fabric for a principled and moral nation.
This dude said we sit here and call everybody and pray with them. While you're sitting there praying, she's sitting there cheesing. While you're sitting there praying, she's going around bragging about how she's almost a millionaire due to this stuff. Your prayer means nothing. What the hell is this man talking about? This is why we pray with everybody. I don't give a damn. And they're still running around here literally as racist can be. Show me different. Show me a video of Shiloh saying, you know what I did was wrong. It was horrible. I'm sorry. I can understand the backlash. I shouldn't have not done that. I am a grown woman and I should not have took my aggression out on that child like that. Now, I may have seen it one way, but after thinking about it, I kind of overreacted. Children are children. Children do children things. I apologize, and I hope sincerely from the bottom of my heart that you guys will forgive me. And if you don't forgive me, I understand why. I'm going to work harder to be a better person. You ain't getting none of that. I've yet to see a video from the woman saying any of that. So what good did your prayer do? You're praying that God protects a woman who was literally bigoted towards a 5-year-old autistic child? And y'all call yourself Christians? Don't the Bible say God take care of babies and fools? These people are no fools. They're idiots. That makes no damn sense.
Here's the flaw with Shiloh Hendricks. She, in her message left on the donation site, it goes on, sentence after sentence, playing the victim. She never once mentions that she repeatedly used the N-word. It doesn't exist in her description of the victimhood statement she puts out there. So it's incredibly disingenuous, because people who read that will not realize, if they don't know the story, that she racially abused a child and then an adult in a most horrific manner. And I'm curious, for you as a company, you take, I believe, tips and donations from each of the donations that come in. Is that how the system works?
The system works on voluntary donations.
Okay.
So the only thing that we receive
just out of
revenue
interest, of the $600,000 plus that have now been raised for her, how much have you guys made, Give, Send, Go, from that money?
Dun, dun, dun. Now the questions are being asked. How much money are you making from this campaign, bald man? Sickly 47, excuse me. Agent 47. Damn, now I'm seeing all kind of people. Now I'm seeing Neo when he first got out the Matrix. You dig what I'm saying? When he pulled all the machinery and stuff out of his throat and all this other stuff, pause. Yeah, that's who I'm seeing now. Neo, fresh out the Matrix. Let's continue, family.
You know, right?
I actually don't know. I haven't kept track of what the donations to that campaign in particular to Give, Send, Go
do you feel
are.
comfortable? You feel comfortable making money out of that?
What I feel comfortable doing is last week flying out to Detroit, Michigan, and stepping into somebody's brokenness who had a campaign on Give, Send, Go because their car was stolen and another car was in an accident and they found out that their 3-year-old had cancer.
Well, it's a different story. It's a different story completely.
And it's a completely different story, but it's a reality of what we use the funds from Give, Send, Go for.
The bottom line is you're making, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe more, out of a particular part of your site that has been set up by a racist who was proudly racist on camera repeatedly. And you say you want to protect children, but the reason that she is so infamous is she originally, in that exchange, racially abused a child. And you might laugh, and smirk,
you know
and
what?
smile,
None of
but
us.
I don't find any of that funny.
You keep jumping.
Family, I had to go look right quick because our sister Aquarius, you mentioned something that needs to be researched. So I wanted to make sure I had the right numbers here. For every dollar donated, they receive 30 cents per donation. For every dollar donated. Wait, is it per donation? Okay, so they make about 30 cents per donation. So it's not every dollar donated, it's every donation. So whoever donates, they make about 30 cents or 2.9%. Wait, no, 2.9% plus 30 cents per donation. Oh, so they're getting both. Oh, they're getting both. They double dipping. Shoot, not only are you going to give me 2.9% of whatever you get, you're going to throw 30 cents on top of each donation you get. Ooh, man, yeah, he definitely ain't taking down that damn thing. Go ahead.
I don't think it's funny either. You put me in a position to try to defend Shiloh, which I have no defense for Shiloh. I don't defend calling a child something like that. What is very...
You literally just sat here and defended this woman. And defending the fact that you should be the person who takes down her damn platform. You over here defending yourself like, no, we can't police what happens outside of the app. What happens outside of the platform. But you can keep a woman from getting an abortion, and you can keep parents from fundraising to do gender assignment surgery or whatever, reassignment surgery. You can control those things, but you can't control someone being bigoted towards a child who's black. Okay, continue.
Very evident is that, one, we don't have video of her doing any of those things outside of the post video. So
where she literally uses the N-word repeatedly, and she doesn't deny using it against the child. In fact, she makes it clear she did do it because he was behaving like one, she said. So I don't know why you're being so mealy-mouthed about it. So the bottom line is she's obviously a nasty racist. She's proud of being a racist. She admitted being a racist, and we heard her being a racist. There is no doubt about.
And notice, he agrees with them. He shook his head. He was like, right, yeah, right. She did. You're right. I can't even argue that.
He originally, in that exchange, racially abused a child. And you might laugh,
well,
smirk,
you know what?
and smile,
none of
but
us.
I don't find any of that funny.
You keep jumping. Yeah, I don't think it's funny either. You put me in a position to try to defend Shiloh, which I have no defense for Shiloh. I don't defend calling a child something like that. What is very evident is that, one, we don't have video of her doing any of those things outside of the post video. So
where she literally uses the N-word repeatedly, and she doesn't deny using it against the child. In fact, she makes it clear she did do it because he was behaving like one, she said. So I don't know why you're being so mealy-mouthed about it. So the bottom line is she's obviously a nasty racist. She's proud of being a racist. She admitted being a racist, and we heard her being a racist. There is no doubt about what happened. What you're trying to do is cast a little bit of doubt, if you don't mind me saying, because it helps your corporate position, which is you're making a ton of money out of a racist who is going to be a millionaire out of being a racist because of your platform.
If you think allowing this campaign helps our corporate position, come on, Piers.
You know what would help you corporately? If you were genuinely true to your mission statement as a Christian site, that you want to protect children, and you were big on that at the start of this interview, I want to protect the kids, then you would remove her site immediately once you had established in your own brain that she'd racially abused a 5-year-old, which, by the way, she admits to doing, right? So you could just do that like that.
Yeah, no, we could do a lot of things, but in the country that we live in, there are certain fabric elements that make...
We can do a lot of things, just not protect black children.
This America what it is, and they need to be defended. So
free speech one of them?
Have upset feelings.
Free speech?
Free speech, freedom of expression.
Really? And how odd? Because Mr. Wells, unless I'm mistaken, you have now removed the ability to comment and removed all the comments on this particular donation site, haven't you? Where's the free speech rights of those people who commented? Or are you just a hypocrite?
No.
I wish I had that damn queued up. I'm gonna have to put that in there as one of my drops, because that was a moment. You talk about free speech, but you sure did turn off those comments, didn't you, buddy? Didn't you, buddy? You turned off those comments, didn't you, buddy? Because free speech does not include platforms, unfortunately.
Well, recognize what free speech is. Free speech is a prohibition against the government enacting laws to prohibit your speech.
You literally just made a speech talking about freedom of expression and free speech, but you've removed all the comments from here. Why are you suppressing and censoring people's right to free speech to comment on these sites?
We have, as a private business, the right to operate our business the way that
you have the right to suppress free speech. I don't dispute it. I'm just curious why you pretend to be this great defender of free speech when you're literally doing the opposite.
No, what we saw very clearly in this situation was a campaign for Carmelo Anthony, and on the back of it, a campaign for Shiloh, and they were competing off of each other, and they were in a cycle of vitriolic tornado of sorts. And we said we need to put some calming effect on this by removing the back and forth element that's going on in this particular situation. It wouldn't necessarily have happened if these campaigns were completely independent, months, years apart from each other.
As a Christian again,
family. He is making this too easy for Piers Morgan. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Piers Morgan himself is a closeted racist. He's not so closeted, but if you call him a racist, he will argue you down. He's sitting here literally just smashing this dude. Somebody stall this man out. Give him a glass of water. He needs some milk. He needs some milk. Hooligan is absolutely correct when he said that. Is this your best? This is your king? Is this your king? Huh.
What's happening?
As a Christian again, because I'm told that the Give Send Go site for Luigi Mangione, who we saw allegedly executing a healthcare boss in cold blood. I don't think there's much allegedly about it, but we'll let the process take its course. He's got nearly £1 million for his defense via your site. And it's sort of odd, isn't it? Is it not an inconsistency in your Christian position on this? That on the one hand, it really shows your lack of understanding what Christian faith actually Let me ask you the question. On the one hand, if you want anything pro-abortion on your site, that's a no-no because you're all pro-life. And yet on the other hand, you're helping a bunch of alleged murderers raise millions. Do you not see an inconsistency with your Christian hat on?
Well, it just actually goes to the shallow misconception of Christianity that you have, and I would implore you, Piers, to go after reading the Bible for what it says. That the number one critique of Jesus by the religious leaders,
quite loud in my head.
The number one critique of Jesus by the religious leaders of the day was that he hung around with the prostitutes, the drunkards, and the sinners. He was the guy that went to the lowliest of low places, and he actually shared hope in the midst of the worst places. We find ourselves in a very similar situation, and our goal at Give Send Go is to share hope to people in the midst, and part of that is navigating how we do it. We have a prayer team that calls people and prays with them, actually shows them that they're valuable. We have an initiative, like I was mentioning earlier.
All right, but the bottom line, Mr. Wells, I appreciate you coming on, but the bottom line is, the reality of the situation is that if you racially abuse a kid, you can become a millionaire on your site and you won't stop it happening. And if you kill somebody or allegedly kill somebody, you won't stop that happening either. But with your Christian hat on, if somebody wants to put anything up that's pro-abortion, whoa, not having that, gov. And if you want to put a comment under one of these more contentious sites, your free speech rule immediately collapses.
Listen, I'm sorry, Piers, if you can't recognize that children don't have a voice and they should be protected.
What about the voice of this? What about the voice of this little 5-year-old black kid? Where was his right not to be racially abused?
He doesn't have a campaign on Give Send Go. I would love to see a campaign for him on Give Send Go. Okay. He doesn't have a campaign on Give Send Go. But to the deeper question of the other campaigns, if you think undermining the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law is a good position to take, well, so be it. That's why we find ourselves in the mess as a society that we have found ourselves in, is because people continue to undermine the principles that our country was founded upon for the sake of some type of social outrage, which apparently is what seems like you're parroting towards us.
Okay.
Get your man.
All right.
Somebody come and get this dude. Somebody come and get this dude. This dude here should not have been the spokesperson for this situation. He just shouldn't have. I'm going to be 100 with you. I'm going to be 100 with you. But family, as good as this was, we all got to remember, family, like I said, Piers Morgan didn't do anything special. He's not repping for black folk. White supremacy loves to take both sides of the argument. I want to remind you of some Piers Morgan situations now. Let's go here.
The new trend is sweeping theatreland in the UK and US. Blackout performances are dedicated to black-only audiences. Those who are not black are asked not to buy tickets. The Theatre of Royal Stratford East in London says no one's excluded from attending their new show, Tambo and Bones, but promotional material makes clear that white people aren't wanted at the production on the night in question. Says a blackout night is a purposeful creation of an environment in which an all black identified audience can experience and discuss an event in performing arts free from the white gaze. So does this mean I can go if I identify as a black man? There would be someone on the woke side who would have they had trouble disagreeing with that, given they believe in limitless self-identity. But it is more importantly, is it ever okay to exclude audiences based on skin color? What would happen, for example, if it was the other way around? If this was a white-only audience? Well, I'm joined by the Talk TV contributor Esther Krakow and the Black Lives Matter organizer and activist Iman Aidens. All right, Iman, let's try to picture what would happen if I put on a theatrical production in London and it said it was for whites only, or people identifying as white, which is obviously a ludicrous phrase, but you would go nuts. You would say that is blatant racism, segregation, dragged us kicking and screaming back to the dark days of appalling bigotry. You would.
Well, it depends on the context, right?
There's no whites-only audience.
Yes, it depends.
No black people allowed. What would you say?
Well, I think you're perfectly right. It would be akin to racists finding more ways to be more racist.
So why is it okay this way?
First and foremost, why are you having a conversation about black folks in America, yet you're not in America, and the women that you brought on are not in America? So how do you speak about the nuances of racism in America when none of you people are American or have the experiences of said Americans? Inquiring minds would like to know.
Way around.
Okay, so we have to
salute Scarte. I appreciate you, family.
Put it into context. It was 1 out of the 29 shows.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Let's put it into context, because you want to forget about context. Context is everything. It is 1 out of the 29 shows that was targeted towards black people. And at no point did they say certain people were not excluded. In fact, they actually said it verbatim on their website. No one is excluded. And yet you have found racism.
No, I just read the rest of what they said. It's pretty clear. You are not supposed to go if you're not black.
No, please consider booking other dates.
Right, exactly.
I think the context, you're right, the context is important. I think the issue here is when it's talking about sort of, blackouts, and it's trying to gather an audience of black people that they believe have the same experience.
Exactly.
This doesn't transpose the same way it does in the US and the UK, right? A black person in the UK could be black African, black British, black from the Caribbean, right? In the US, the conversation around race is completely different. And that's why it's a problem. Obviously, when you bring this to the UK, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? This is, especially in London.
Can you see any merit? Can you see any merit to it?
Of course not. But I don't even think it makes sense.
And this is why we delineate. This woman, who's, I don't know, either Caribbean or African in the UK, is literally sitting here saying that it is nonsense that we want our own black spaces. And this is why we delineate. Period, point, and black. Why are you even having these conversations with two people who don't understand the nuances of being a black American in the first place? And you could tell by the way she's speaking that she don't understand the nuances of America.
So why is that? Why is that? If you're talking about safe spaces, let's just be clear. We're talking about safe spaces.
What do you mean safe space? What does that mean?
Okay, so
you wouldn't feel safe if I came along?
No. Again, context. We're talking about a play that was done by black people, for black people, targeted for black people.
So?
And so, 1 out of the, again, let's just be clear, because you're clearly not getting this message. It is basically akin to the disabled community putting on 29 shows, and 29 shows about disabilities, and one of those shows is targeted towards the disabled community. That is what it is akin to, and yet you have a problem. Why is that, Piers? Have you genuinely asked yourself why it's different between disabilities or disabled community or Jewish, but when it comes to black,
my problem is that you have already conceded that if it was the other way round, and this was a whites-only night of this theatrical performance, you would say racist. And that's my problem. It's the double standard.
Disproportionately affected by racism, so therefore it's about safe spaces. This play is about racism, so therefore we should have a safe space for black people as we are disproportionately affected by racism.
I don't think you tackle.
You won't say that to a woman. You won't say that to a woman. She was talking about abuse, and therefore she wanted, and they wanted, and she wanted a safe space.
I'm sorry, say that. The idea of safe spaces and black people needing safe spaces is extremely patronizing.
We're talking about racism.
Okay, what about Asian people? Do Asian people need safe spaces for racism?
When talking about
Asian people.
Everybody has safe spaces except foundational black Americans, ma'am. Yes, Asians have safe spaces. They're called Chinatown. What the hell is this woman talking about? What is she talking about? And that's why you need an FBA there to talk to these people about things like this. Every goddamn people, you got little Jamaica, you got little Africa, you got goddamn what's the name of that goddamn little Puerto Rico over in over in New York? What the hell are you talking about?
When we don't have this conversation. When talking about, no, she just asked me questions, so I'm answering. When talking about Asian racism, I think they deserve a bit of a safe space. When they're talking about their own experiences
from black people or from white people?
From all types of people that are going to promote judgments. Because it's about being free of judgment. Free of white judgment, free of Asian judgment, free of all types.
Let somebody else speak, please.
No, I'm going to.
Or we're going to have a safe space where you get removed so that only I can be heard speaking.
Happily, and I'll say bye to you both.
I will have a one night only Piers.
Happily, I'll say bye to you both. I'll see you on Saturday. I'll say bye to you.
I'll have one night show, but only I am allowed to speak and you're not allowed to because of your skin colour. How would you like that?
Well, that's called racism.
Exactly my point.
No, it's not.
Esther, let me ask you this. What would most black friends of yours or family think about this? In other words, is it something where a lot of black people might go, you know what, actually, I could see some merit to this?
They would see it as an American importation, right?
Does that mean necessarily a bad thing?
I think that it would be seen as ridiculous, but ridiculously, particularly American, right? Because they...
So not only would it would be seen as ridiculous, but ridiculously American. Wanting your own space. It's not just ridiculous, but it's ridiculously American. Why? Because where she comes from, her family don't want their own space. They want to worship white zaddy. She wants to live white zaddy over her head. Oh, therefore, white zaddy, thank you very much. Thank you for coming to Africa. We love you, white man. White man, we love you so much. And we don't do that shit over here. We don't want nothing to do with you. We want our own spaces, just like they want their own neighborhoods. Let's be 100. If I put on an all-black goddamn play with an all-black cast, and I say for one night only, I want to make sure that there is no weird looks in the crowd. There's no people feeling like I'm attacking them to come after me after the show. No. What we're going to do, we're going to say for one night only, this is going to be a safe space for black folk, so it's going to be only black folk. Family, they still got sundown towns all across America. So we are allowed to want our own space. But for this woman to call it ridiculous, that shows you the mindset of these tethers. They're the complete opposite of what we want. They want the complete opposite.
Black people are not a monolith, which we can all agree on. Black people come from various parts of the world. They have different cultures. This idea that there's a shared black experience, I think, is ludicrous, other than the color of our skin. But you have to accept there are many connotations you're adding.
Oh, Miss Nisi, stay power tooled up, my sister. I don't need to tell you because I'm pretty sure you already know. You've been living there longer than I've known you lived there. So I just want you to know that my love is with you and keep that power tool with you too, my sister.
I could say that as a black person, I face more racism from Asian and Middle Eastern people, so I should have a safe space from those people. Can you even identify them? No, but that's ridiculous.
I don't think. Okay, let me interrupt. Let me speak. I don't think any form of art should ever be exclusionary on the grounds of skin color, regardless of who it's targeted to or who it's made by. The whole point of art is it should be for everybody.
But we're talking about race equity.
For everybody. No.
Context.
I don't know. It's not racially equal about this. It's
First and foremost, art isn't for everybody. And art is subjectable. Period. So my art, you might not like, Piers. There's I forget the artist's name, but he did a full exhibit out here at the African American History Museum in Houston. And the whole exhibit was about the situation with Robert Byrd. And my brother is actually related to him. My brother's a Byrd. That's actually his first cousin that it happened to. And if you were to go inside of there and look at all those pictures, I might post those pictures. I still have some of the, well, most of them. I might post them later. It was a whole, it was truthful as hell. It was god dang meth heads, let's just put it like that. Meth heads dragging him down the street with a truck. There was issues or paintings of the meth addicts committing lynchings and things like that. So that's art. But leave it to this person. The Nabiscos might not like seeing that art. So that wouldn't be art to you? Art should be for everyone. Should it? Or should it actually relay the message of the artist?
Racially unequal. You're saying no white people can come.
Context.
It's ridiculous.
What's the play about, Piers?
I've heard you right.
What's the play
It
about?
doesn't matter what it's
yes,
about.
Yes, it does.
It
And
doesn't.
that's your issue. You want to negate context.
No,
There is no
it doesn't
argument
matter.
from both of us without context. You know this, and yet you try to negate.
No, I don't know this.
Here.
No, you
Deal
can't.
with the context. And if you can't deal with it, don't come with an argument.
Tell
Deal
me,
with the context.
you can't tell me what I'm thinking.
No, exactly. That's
right?
what you do to me.
Or what my opinion
and that's what
is.
people like you do to me.
People like
and
me.
Yes, yes.
People like me.
Prejudice, racially prejudiced people like yourself. That's what you do. That's why we need safe spaces.
You're calling me racially prejudiced.
I've done that several times. Piers. Why are you surprised?
Why are you saying that?
Ignorance doesn't actually suit you.
That's ignorant, actually.
No,
what you just said.
I've just told you
I'm not
that
racially
several times.
prejudiced.
Okay,
And what
so
you just said is very offensive. And shouldn't be saying that.
Piers, what's prejudice?
Huh?
What's prejudice?
If you're racially prejudiced, you are a racist.
What's prejudice?
That's what you just called me.
Learning.
I'm not accepting that. Sorry.
What's prejudice?
See how he just tried to equate the two, family? If you're racially prejudiced, you are racist. No. Racial prejudice and racism are two different goddamn things. One has a system of power behind it. The other is just not liking somebody. One has a system of power behind it. The other is just not liking somebody. Let's be very clear on that. Let's go here, family, because I want to show you this other clip. We're almost done.
Trisha Goddard. So Trisha, you know, you were there on Good Morning Britain on the day, the morning after the Oprah Winfrey interview aired. We had a pretty lively series of exchanges on that show. As you know, I left Good Morning Britain the next day because I was asked to apologize for disbelieving her claims of racism. I said I wanted to see evidence of this so-called racism. We now learn from Harry's own mouth that they did not call the royal family racist after all. So I'm not quite sure why I had to leave my job. Are you?
Yes.
Well, go on,
why? She said that and laughed dead in his face. I'm not sure why I had to leave my job, do you? Yes. Oh, I'm so petty. I love it.
Yes.
Well, go on, why?
Because they actually didn't use the words racist.
Oh, please.
And would you like me to finish?
No, I'll tell you what I want to do,
Trisha.
Before you go any further, I want to play you what they said on Oprah. Then you can repeat what you've just said. Let's watch this.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
What was that conversation?
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
This is what Ivy League University.
Oh, excuse me, family. Let me go ahead and let that play. I was so giddy, family. I ain't gonna lie. I loved it.
But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Yeah, and the end of that first bit of Meghan Markle goes on to say that if the baby was too dark, that would be a problem. Yes, you may think that. So that I'm afraid, Trisha, that is racism.
Hang on just a minute.
The charge is
no.
the charge was racism against the royal family. At the time, they produced no evidence. Her version of events was nearly 2 years after Harry's timeline for when this happened. They never named the royal member who said this stuff, and now we get told casually it's not racism.
All right, can you just play that again? Because there must be something wrong at my line. I didn't hear either Harry or Meghan use the word racism. I heard you use it. I saw the press use it. I didn't actually hear them use the word. And that's what, when we had that robust exchange of words, I think what I said to you is that I do get fed up with other people labeling, white people, labeling what is and isn't racist to black people. Now, if they'd actually used the word racism,
Oh,
I
come
would
off
be
it,
agreeing.
Trish. Honestly, this is utterly ridiculous.
So what is racism?
She was
Would you
asked
like
by,
to-
I'll
would
tell you
you
what
like to
racism
let-
is. I'll tell you what racism
Oh,
is.
good. Hang on, just,
Yeah, I know I'm
just
white.
Let
I
me
know
get
I'm white.
comfortable.
I know hang on.
Let me get comfortable.
I know I'm white.
Piers Morgan's about to lecture a black woman about racism.
No, I'm about
Tell
to
me
tell
what's
you.
racism.
I'm about to give you an example of racism.
Excuse me, family. I love this woman. I'm over here crying right about now. It's just her energy about this is just awesome. Shout out to you, PD. I'm gonna look into that because I definitely need a new blocker.
As a middle-aged white man.
Let me get comfortable. Hang on, just
I know I'm white.
Let me get comfortable.
Let me get
comfortable.
I know I'm white.
Piers Morgan's about to lecture a black woman about racism.
No, I'm about
Tell
to
me
tell
what's
you.
racism.
I'm about to give you an example of racism as a middle-aged white man who I know is the enemy to you. Let me tell you what an example of racism is. An example of racism would be somebody expressing concern about the skin color of a baby from a mixed-race marriage. And when the interviewer then says, "Well, if it was darker, that would be a problem." Yes, you may think that. That is an example of somebody expressing racism, and that
actually, Piers, you're misconcepted. That is not an instance of someone showing racism. Is actually someone showing colorism. Big difference. Now, colorism can be a form of racism, but in this instance, it's just plain and simple colorism. They don't want the baby to be too dark. And it may be because they are racist. But colorism and racism, they're two different things, sir. In India, they have a caste color system. So that is a colorist system. You can't make it to the top unless you're a light-skinned Indian. A fair, light-skinned Indian. That's what that is. And that's what they were exhibiting. They were exhibiting colorism, Piers.
became the headline and narrative for the next 2 years after that interview. And for you to shamelessly sit there and pretend that wasn't what they meant is utter bilge.
If there were more black people in the media, in the tabloid media, they may have had the opportunity to look into that and explain it a little bit more. I didn't see it as racism. I saw it, and that's why I got cross when you decided to label it.
I didn't decide to do anything.
When we were having
they literally confirmed to Oprah Winfrey that a member of the royal family had expressed concern about the skin color of their baby, and if the baby's skin color was too dark, that would be a problem.
When a black person attempts to talk about this in other than headline news, when I'm trying to have a reasoned conversation, I get shouted over. Why is my experience, or what black people experience, why do we have no currency? Why am I not allowed to explain?
They've literally had front page headlines about the racist royal family for 2 years. How much more currency does Meghan Markle want?
No one has called the royal family racist. I mean, I would say it's built on the Commonwealth, and we already know Charles has had problems. They've talked about the crown that Camilla may or may not use because the history of one of the diamonds, the Kohinoor diamonds, and what have you. We know that the royalty and many royal families around the world were built on the backs of slavery, racism, Commonwealth countries having goods stolen or taken away from them. We know that. Unfortunately, it's not taught in school.
Sorry, that's got nothing to do. Sorry, yeah, but with respect, that has nothing to do.
The history is racist.
You can't just speak endlessly without me jumping in. Sorry. With great respect to you, you can't just keep talking. I'm allowed to ask questions. It's an interview. Right? My question for you
but
is,
you're not allowed to make statements without listening to what somebody says.
Meghan Markle made a direct charge, supported by her husband, that a member of the royal family had expressed concern about the potential skin color of their baby, which, if it was too dark, would be a problem. That is.
So if her husband supported it, she said it, her husband agreed with it. Why are you arguing this down? Did you live in Buckingham Palace? I'm sorry. Did I miss when Piers Morgan was kicked out of the Buckingham Palace? I'm sorry. I'm confused. If they both said this happened, why are you putting it or sticking your nose into their business?
Interesting. Racism. they made a
is it?
charge.
What?
Yes, that's called
Really?
racism. Yeah. If you think
you
that
know
if a
about
baby's too dark, it's a problem, that's called racism. Sorry to have to lecture
Is
you
it?
about racism. I know I'm not allowed to.
Again, Piers, no, it's called colorism.
As a white man, but actually, that is an
Now
example
you know
of racism.
everything. Tell us about my history. Tell us about the history of black people and
What's that got to do with what they said?
Because they didn't say it was racism.
Yes, they did.
Somebody else used that word. They stepped aside from using that word, I think, very deliberately.
Why did they win an award?
Tell us about unconscious.
All right.
Tell, us
Why did
about, tell us about unconscious bias.
I'll tell you about unconscious delusion, which is they won an award.
No bias. What does it mean?
I do the questions, you do the answering. It's called an interview show, right? And just before Christmas, they accepted an award for their heroic stand against the structural racism of this royal family, based on what they told Oprah Winfrey.
Family, I'm showing you these clips to show you that Piers Morgan don't give a damn about racism. And he don't give a damn about black folk whatsoever. Every time he's called out on his racism, he gets defensive and becomes more racist. And this is just how he's been sitting here talking to women. Let's see how he acts or responds when he's talking to, well, not so much a man, but someone who's a man who might not act like one. Let's go here.
I'm sorry, Ernest Owens. I do make a bum. Ernest Owens, thank you very much indeed for joining me. And now, I don't know much about you. You read a piece last week for Rolling Stone magazine saying cancel culture is good for democracy. So I'm going to come to that ludicrous premise in a minute. But also remember you tweeting when I left Good Morning Britain, a series of tweets calling me a racist, including enjoying how folks keep getting Piers Morgan together for his racist tirades against Meghan Markle on Good Morning Britain. I was just curious, could you remember a single racist thing that I said about her or have ever said about her?
Well, thank you for having me on, Piers. I was surprised when I found out I would be on your show.
We're an uncensored show, Ernest. We take all types on it.
Is he a Brit? I think he's an American. I think he's actually American. He might be a Brit, though. But I think he's American. Don't hold that, as 100% true there. But him sitting where he's sitting, I think that he might be American.
Well, all types. Well, there you go. But I think really a lot of it just seemed to be biased. I think that you was really just harsh on, the Duchess of Sussex, and I think there was a little bit of bias in the way that you had really gone after her.
Yeah, but Ernest, to be fair, I didn't ask you about that. I just said, what were the racist tirades? What racist thing have I ever said about Meghan Markle? I'm curious. You tweeted quite a few times that I was a racist. I'm just curious, what was the racism?
I said your remarks. I said your remarks were racist. I didn't say verbatim
what were the remarks that were
racist? I think that it's biased. I think that you had a sense of bias of how you were speaking about her and how you was really being insensitive to her mental health.
Sorry, being biased or skeptical of some of her claims is not the same as being racist. What was the thing I said that was racist?
I never, hold on. Do you want the person of color to speak or do you want to just talk over me?
Nothing to do with your skin color, Ernest. Sorry, nothing to do with your skin color. I don't care if you're black or white or anything else. I just want you to try and tell me, given you tweeted to your many followers repeatedly, by the way, repeatedly, you did this.
Do you guys find it funny that whenever he says, I don't care about your skin color, black, white, or whatever, but then he goes right back into saying something else that's racist or trying to over talk the person that he asked the question to? He moves like a gotcha journalist. That's what Piers Morgan, his interview style is like gotcha journalism.
Repeatedly, you have called me a racist repeatedly for racist things I've said about Meghan Markle. I simply want you to stand by what you tweeted. What was it I said about Meghan Markle?
I am. Would you let me talk?
Ever that's been racist?
Are you going to let me talk or are you just going to overtalk me?
Just answer the question. Stop asking the question.
That's microaggression. You're asking a black person to explain how what you did could be perceived as racist, and rather than let me finish talking, you're overtalking me and being highly defensive.
Am I being racist again,
Ernest? Dog is howling right now.
Am I being racist again?
You're being dismissive. Can I actually talk? Or
Maybe because you're not answering the question,
Ernest. Be on the show. Okay, so can I answer the question?
Yes, you can. Please do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so your targeting of Meghan Markle's mental health, gaslighting her specifically, calling to question the legitimacy of her claims about the royal family being racist, you dismissing those claims, you consistently having a sense of badgering her and targeting her, it felt like on my end that there was some racial bias there. Now, you may feel like it's not. Maybe it's sexism, maybe it's misogynoir, maybe it's a combination of both her gender and her race, but it was perceived by thousands of people. 57,000 people had called Good Morning Britain about some of your behavior.
No, you see, you got to be very careful, Ernest.
Mischaracterizing the situation on Fox. You act like it's just Meghan Markle, but it wasn't just Meghan Markle. It was other people who had concerns.
You do have to be careful when you spew more lies, unfortunately, because 57,000 people.
Weren't you not spewing lies?
I'm about to explain what you just said was wrong, a lie. 57,000.
Or you're going to give your interpretation.
If you're going to let me answer the question, 57,000.
Go ahead, Piers.
Ernest, 57,000 people.
I'm not gonna lie. Miss Nisi, I stand corrected. You're absolutely correct. More like sensationalized tabloid trash. You're absolutely correct. He's definitely one of those tabloid writers. You're absolutely correct. But Aquarius, you got me over here with the get 'em girl, because honestly, I ain't gonna lie. I think he handled himself pretty well. So salute to the brother. But like I said, when when he's talking to a man, even notice he don't bring on men like that. He brings on all kind of people who are kind of, iffy in situations. But the way this person, he's being petty too. He's being just as petty as the last woman. So I appreciate that, because I love the pettiness. Salute to AB. Thank you for being here, family. I appreciate you for being here. Oh yeah, that's I feel you on that. Another Howard Stern, just a freaking UK version.
Complained to Ofcom, the TV regulator, and guess what? 5 months later, every one of the complaints was thrown out, and Ofcom found in my favor to have my right to free speech and freedom of expression. But I come back to my initial point about you. You repeatedly tweeted to many people that I'm a racist, and I'm simply asking you to name one single comment. Ernest, one single comment I've ever made
between racist comments.
So, did I say a racist tirade? What was it?
I felt like your attacking of Meghan Markle was racially biased.
Oh, you felt like
I
it?
believe
You felt like it was your feeling?
I felt that way.
It was your feeling that I'm a racist, was it?
I felt like what you did was racially insensitive. I never said verbatim on Twitter that you were racist. I said you made racist
actually, you just said enjoying how folks keep getting Piers Morgan together for his racist tirades. We're actually looking at your tweet now, Ernest, and there were plenty more. In fact, while I'm talking to you, we'll dig the others out. Just go and dig them out, folks. Here's my point, Ernest. The reason that people think that I may have had a racist connotation to my criticism of Meghan Markle is because people like you, high-profile black people in America, kept saying that without any evidence. And now
people like you, high-profile black people. Oh, he's just putting it on the table, ain't he? He's just letting the world know. Oh yeah, it was people such as you, high-profile black people. Interesting.
I've got you on my show. I'm finally able to ask you, why did you tell lies about me?
You're blaming the black guy?
I'm not blaming the black guy. I'm blaming you as a high-profile black man for claiming wrongly and
yeah,
offensively
you're blaming the
that I
black
was
guy.
racist in my motivation towards my criticism of Meghan Markle. Which, to be clear,
that was a great response. So you're blaming the black guy? So you're blaming the black guy for your racist response, your racist remarks. You want to blame the black guy. Hey, you know what? He might be related to her. He might be related to him. He might be the same one. I've never seen T.S. Giselle, so that could be. That could be.
my criticism of her and Prince Harry is I think they both tell lies. They both recently said they didn't mean to call the royal family racist when we heard them say it with their own mouths on national television. So my point to you, Ernest, is you can say these things. You can say these things on Twitter when you're actually held to account for them.
About Meghan Markle,
you don't have any evidence to support what you're saying.
You have a bigger platform than me, and you've attacked Meghan Markle and it's impacted her mental health. And I feel like someone like me, as a black person, defending her as an innocent black woman in that situation, I felt like I was standing up for her. You need to be accountable for your impact and your power.
Oh, I stand by everything I said.
You have a big influence, and you're trying to play a victim.
I stand by. Oh, I'm not a victim.
And it was disrespectful.
No, Ernest, I'm not a victim, and I'm not a racist.
Are you a victim, Piers?
Ernest, I'm not a victim, and I'm not a racist.
I'm not gonna lie. The brother, the sugary brother is handling them. he is handling them. He's going point by point. And like you said, he's trying his hardest to convince people that he's not a racist. And this dude, he made sure to go back and say that 2 or 3 times. I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. Listen to me. I'm not racist.
You have a big influence, and you're trying to play a victim.
I stand by. Oh, I'm not a victim.
And it was disrespectful.
No, Ernest, I'm not a victim, and I'm not a racist.
Are you a victim, Piers?
Ernest, I'm not a victim, and I'm not a racist. I'm somebody who listens to that. I listened to the Oprah Winfrey. Just let me finish speaking. I listened to the Oprah Winfrey show. I watched it, and I identified immediately a number of lies. And I said that on air the next morning. Other guests disagreed with me, and you were delighted.
I ain't gonna lie, family. This look right here on his face, I love it. It's golden. It's like he's looking at him like, I got you, Negro. I got you. Anything you say, I got something for you. He knows he got the very next thing he's going to say.
About the way they came after me, and that's fine. But then you said I was racist repeatedly. That my
You had
criticism
other comments.
was
Piers, hold on,
racially
Piers.
motivated.
You're being intellectually dishonest. You did not just say she was a liar. You questioned other aspects of her mental health.
No,
You
I
questioned
didn't
other
believe
aspects of it as offensive. Repeat what you said.
I said I didn't.
Repeat what you said.
I said I didn't believe her.
Why?
Because there is no evidence to support the claims that she made. She said she went to a senior.
Miss Niecy, you roll for that. 2 snaps and Zorro's formation. Oh, Jesus Christ. Y'all in here roasting this dude. Sweet Chick's not pulling no punches. Shim cooking. Oh, y'all is wrong for that. Get it, tink, tink. Y'all foul.
You
So
know,
her
I'm
expressing
about
what
to tell
happened
you,
to her, how she
Ernest.
felt with no evidence?
Ernest,
Oh,
I'm about to tell
shit.
you what I said. She said she went to a senior member of Buckingham Palace staff and said she was feeling suicidal, and that member of staff said she couldn't get help. That story.
Him downstairs. Oh no, him downstairs. Shout out to Bernie Mac. Rest in power, my family. Damn. Oh, Stu.
Doesn't reappear in Harry's 415-page book and has never been substantiated by anybody else, nor has it been repeated by
You
Meghan
didn't know
Markle.
that when you
So
said
I'm
that.
afraid.
You did not know that when you said
Sorry,
that.
I didn't believe it. It didn't sound true. And by the way,
But why?
I'm
But
allowed.
why you didn't believe it?
Ernest,
Why?
Ernest,
You're allowed to, so
I'm
you're allowed to believe that
Ernest,
she's lying, and I
I'm
can believe that
allowed
what
to
you said was
disbelieve
racially
her.
biased.
I'm allowed to disbelieve
And I'm allowed to believe that what you
disbelieve
said
Prince
was
Harry,
racially biased.
and I'm also allowed to disbelieve you when you call me a racist because it's wrong. And you shouldn't do it.
I said that you made racist remarks. I did not call you racist, Piers. You're trying to make yourself a martyr in a situation that you started. You didn't have to go disrespectful below the belt with Meghan. You chose to do that. And now you're mad
I
because
chose
other
to
people disagree
criticize
with
her
you.
for what I thought was a disgusting attack on the British royal family.
You
Yeah, I
made
did.
ad hominem attacks against her character. You assassinated her character before the British press, and you know how the
By
tabloids
the
have
way,
been towards
I've
her.
been just
You
as
understood what you were doing.
I've been just as scathing, if not more so, against Prince Harry, who I actually think is more to blame.
Oh, Jesus, not making them taste the rainbow. Oh, I hope. Oh, in probably more ways than one.
Didn't you? I want to know if this is true. Riddle me this. Wasn't there a point in time where at least you tried to pursue a relationship with her? You all had
Absolute
history
nonsense.
before all of this happened.
No, absolute
Okay,
nonsense.
that was
Another
nonsense.
lie. It's another lie. I met her once in my life.
Okay.
Okay, what do you mean, okay? We found more tweets while we were talking to you. You're calling me a British media racist darling.
Wait a second. Was Piers Morgan trying to get at Meghan Markle? Is that what was going on there? Salute to our brother Still Kevin Trees. Thank you for being here, family. Did he just say that Piers Morgan was over here trying to get at Meghan Markle?
Okay.
Okay, what do you mean, okay? We found more tweets while we were talking to you. You're calling me a British media racist darling. What does that mean, Ernest? What does that mean?
It means that you have recently chosen, lately in your career, for whatever reason, you went the road of basically baiting into a lot of the biased coverage of Meghan Markle.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it has been
this is the
racist
problem.
attacks. A lot of it
Ernest.
has been targeted towards her in a biased way. And come on, can you admit that the coverage around Meghan Markle has been racially biased? Can you
No,
admit that?
absolutely not.
Not talking about your work,
No,
but in general.
I think it's another load of absolute hogwash. Nonsense.
So you're dismissing the role of race in all of this. You don't think none of this has a role
I'm
in
saying
any
the
of the
British
coverage you've been
media has never been racist about Meghan Markle.
Okay, that's just a lie.
And
We're
it's not a
gonna
lie.
agree to disagree.
It's not
We're
a
gonna
lie. It's a
agree to
fact.
disagree.
It's a fact.
No, it's not.
What is a
No, it's
lie?
not.
What is a lie, Ernest, is you telling people repeatedly, I'm a racist, and then you can't produce any evidence other than it's your
said
feeling.
you made a racist tirade.
Yeah.
And you're offended, but here's the thing,
I'm not
you're
offended.
blaming me for the criticism.
I'm not offended,
You said
Ernest.
you're
I'm
blaming
just
me as a
calling out-
high influential black
I'm
person.
calling out your lies, and by the way, it has nothing again.
You're blaming me for your criticism.
It has nothing to do with your skin color, Ernest. I don't care.
But you
I
literally
care
said
when
you
you
thought
lie.
a black influential person. You named my race. You said you're a black influential person, and that's why
Yes.
people thought that way.
I think
So
when
why
high
did you bring my
profile
Salute the Gamers Den. If Brother Harvey spoke about it, I haven't seen it yet because literally, like I said, most of the time I try not to watch other people's takes on videos until I do my videos because I don't want to sound like an echo chamber, and I also don't want to mimic someone else's talking points. I want all of my thoughts to be genuine, and so that kind of keeps me from seeing videos that clearly is going to be something I'm gonna speak on. But if he did speak on it, I'll be able to check it out after this broadcast is over on the Rumble. Excuse me.
I think when high-profile black people like you go public on Twitter.
Okay, high-profile black people like me.
Like
Go
you,
ahead.
go public on Twitter and call me a racist.
Like you went public on Meghan Markle.
People
Continue.
believe it. And you know what? It's a
And people believe what you said about
lie.
Meghan Markle or no?
It's a lie. Anyway, we've got to leave it there, and it's been lovely catching up with you.
Okay, so I don't know how Piers was over here handing it off to all these other so-called races, but then he gets on the platform with the unicorn and just got poked by the horn. I found that to be amazing and funny all at once. But family, the point of this was to show, once again, we can't stand with any of these people. All of these people, each and every one of these people are problematic. Each and every single one of these people are absolutely problematic. White supremacy takes both sides of the fence. Take both sides of the argument. So while Piers could be sitting here literally going off and calling her all kind of racist and saying she's despicable and all this other stuff, he is too. And several people have called him out on it. And every time he gets called out on it, he gets defensive. He starts over talking them. And he shows himself to be exactly who he is. So family, damn them both. Don't talk to me about the Christian white person when you're Christian white person, such as this woman here, Lillian, is okaying the situation and says she's an open racist. Don't talk to me about white Christians when the owner of Give Sin Go want to protect all children except for black children. We can't be under any misconceptions in this day and age. It is 2025. It is 2025. In the words of that Nigerian girl who said they still don't have no toilets in 2025 in Nigeria. It's 2025 in America. We cannot be under any misconceptions that anybody is speaking for us or that they've changed their position, because they haven't. All of these people are anti-black, including the people who claim to be Christian brothers and sisters of Christ. And it is very important that we keep our eyes and ears open for the anti-blackness, no matter where it comes from and no matter what form it comes in. People like to sit here and hide their racism behind Christianity, behind Islam, Muslims, whatever. They hide behind these things. But at the end of the day, they're still racist. Their religion is anti-black racism. Their religion is white supremacy. Their religion is the white supremacist system. That's who they praise. Yeah, I'm talking about old girl from Nigeria. No, not the girl mixing her snacks, Miss Niecy. That I think that was in Ghana, but I think it was like it was a while ago, probably sometime last month or so, that I showed this girl from Nigeria who went back home, and she was talking about how there's no running water and kids are still taking baths inside of the lake and stuff like that. But yeah, family, it's very important that we continue to call this out, because you will have some people, and I've seen some people online talking about, wow, Piers I didn't know Piers cares so much about black people. And I'm like, he don't. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about, Mark Lamont Shield, he did a damn good job. And I got to give him his his due on this. He did use some good talking points, but like I said, white supremacy take both sides of the fence. So they sent out their little coon puppet, the man who don't know that men can't get pregnant, the man who stands 10 toes down for Palestine, the man who is an apologist for any Democrat there is, whether it's Jasmine Crockpot, Crackhead Crockett, or whether it's Gavin Newsom. White supremacy is taking both sides of this conversation. And the only people that should have a voice in this conversation is foundational Black Americans. We're the only ones that calls out racism in its proper form, not the form that people feel that it is. This woman here, Lillian, was running around here talking about systemic oppression of white people, and the whole damn system of white supremacy is built by white folk, people who look just like her. So how in the world are you telling me that you're systematically oppressed? Then who's getting all the damn bank loans? If you're systematically oppressed, who's getting all the damn bank loans? Who are all of these judges, DAs, jury members who get on code to send Black people to jail even when they're freaking innocent? Who are these people? If you're saying that you're systemically oppressed, who's running the system that systemically is oppressing you? Oh, let me guess. It's the Jews. Oh, that can't be because you are a Jew. I find that interesting. But family, if you're not subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. Family, these people, and I say this all the time because I haven't found a better way to describe this. Our sister, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, she described it so on point. So on point. And she said these people are living in a psychosis. They operate outside of the realms of reality. And for a lot of them, we got to bring them back down to reality, or else they'll go around spreading their anti-Black nonsense. Let's keep it 100. I'd like to thank everybody who's donated today. I'd like to thank you all for your birthday wishes. It truly means a lot to me. It truly does. I turned 39 today. And one of my brothers from my old neighborhood hit me up and wished me a happy birthday. And he said something that made me think. It really did. And he said, coming from where we come from, it's a blessing that we made it to the age that we made it to. And to be honest with you, I truly appreciate what he said, but it had me really thinking. This system is so anti-Black that for us, it's a blessing to see 39. For other people, it's not a blessing. It's just life. It's a part of life. And if it is a blessing, it's because every single day is a blessing. The fact that we got to sit here and thank God to see a certain age, it should show you how anti-Black the system is. Because many of us don't think that we'll make it past 21. Especially when you come from where I came from. When you from Watts, or you from LA, or you from anywhere, Chicago, we're conditioned to believe that it's a blessing. It is a blessing, don't get me wrong. But other people just take it as a regular thing. And I think that we need to reprogram ourselves when it comes down to that. Because really, what we're telling ourselves is that we don't have the right to make it. We don't have the right to make it. Salute to you, Brandon, and I'm glad you did. But that should have been all right. That should be a right. That should be something that's understood. I can't wait to see 41. Not I hope to see 41. See, it's one thing if it says God willing, I'll see 41. It's a whole nother thing to say it's a blessing that I made it to 41, because a lot of us don't make it. That's what I think that we need to reprogram in ourselves. Once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your birthday wishes. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And as a young kid from Watts, trust me, I see the blessing in it. But the blessing was already supposed to be that we should live long and happy lives. Real stuff. And for Hula Gang and Marvin C and all my family, my brother Gary Williams, y'all know, from the hub to the dub, y'all know, Long Beach, all that. All that. But much love to each and every one of you, family. We'll be back here tomorrow for the Sunday service address. Got a special Sunday service coming up tomorrow. For all the mothers, it's going to be a special Mother's Day Sunday service. So I want to make sure I see you all back. I'll see you all tomorrow. And I want to make sure to say thank you once again. Oh, shoot. Thank you to Felicia for your Cashapp donation. I appreciate your donation tenfold, and I appreciate the birthday wishes. So I will see you back here tomorrow, family. And y'all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. With that being said, family, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever can't stand us black people, he's doing everything in the world to make black man be extinct. But I'm going to tell you one thing, us black people going to survive. Yeah. So fuck everybody. I'm off.